And welcome back to another episode, in some ways, the penultimate episode of Building the Board. My name is Quentin Crisco. I am joined by Danny Meehan, Steve Letizia, not Steen Lativia, excuse me, and Seth Conklin. Gentlemen, starting with Danny, and we'll just go in the order of people who are of what's on screen. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Oh man, it's a lovely, lovely Sunday and a hell of a first weekend after you start learning to get into golf to actually tune into golf for the Masters.
Yeah. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, same. Just watch the Masters all weekend. It's crazy that we're less than 2 weeks from the draft. I feel like I've simultaneously watched too many prospects and not enough. But yeah, looking forward to finalizing this big board.
It's always the weirdest feeling this time of year, isn't it?
Yeah.
That that feeling, the pressure of like, I gotta get more guys, and at the same time being like, stop being insane. It's fine.
Right.
Like,
Go outside.
Yeah. Seth,
Touch-
how are you
touch
doing
some
this
grass.
evening?
Yeah, I've been watching the Masters all weekend as well, and taking breaks in between to try to fit as much film in of people as possible up until like basically 6 o'clock, because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Glutton for punishment. There you go. Aren't we all who choose to do this in our spare time? But so tonight we are taking our final big board, which we got our grades in for all these players and are just going through all these names. We're just gonna go position by position. We're gonna rank these guys into tiers. So we have 10 different tiers. Tier 1 are guys that the Bears would have to trade up to get. Tier 2 are guys who they are running the card in at pick 25 like as fast as they can. Tier 3 are guys who they are happy selecting at 25. You know, it's not run the card in, but it's like, okay, that works. Tier 4 are guys they would want to trade down from 25 sometime before pick 57 to select. Tier 5, guys at 57 or 60 that they'd be happy to select. Tier 6, trade down, and that's from that second round and maybe into the third round. Tier 7, guys they'd pick at pick 87. Tier 8, guys they'd trade down from. Tier 9, guys just outside the top 100 but are priority guys on day 3. And Tier 10, just day 3 picks, guys. You know, I've found in a few years of doing this now, day 3 is so scattered with grades. Like, there are guys who I will have like a clear 4th round grade on that don't go until round 7. Guys who I think were a clear round 7 that went in round 5. Like, it seems like a hodgepodge. So there's really not a major point in putting together a board beyond the top 100 in my mind, because it's so team by team at that point. But gentlemen, I think we just go ahead and jump right into this, and I think we start right at the top of our board here with the linebacker position, because that's, you know, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles. That is the cream of the crop in this class. So with that being said, I mean, I think that Danny is the authority on linebackers for us. So
I think our
Danny,
authority sucks.
I want to start the conversation with you here of like the tiers. And
So there's a pretty big tier break. I think Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles sit in their own tier all by themselves of the trade up from 25. For vastly different reasons. I said on the linebacker show, for me, Arvell Reese reminds me of like if you were to just make everything more gooder, perfect it more for what I believed. Why am I blanking on his name now? He played for the Patriots. And
Hightower?
Jamie Collins.
Jamie Collins.
The way I view Arvell Reese is what he should be is Jamie Collins. Like, I don't want to see him be Micah Parsons, because I don't think he is Micah Parsons. Like, he's not that same caliber of athlete. He's not that same caliber of football player. Like, in my world, I get it. He only had something like 200 or something pass rush snaps at Ohio State this year. And Sonny Styles is the best off-ball linebacker I may have evaluated since I've really gotten into this. Like, the guy is just, he's the closest thing to Urlacher I can remember since coming out since Urlacher played. And I think two very different players who happen to be from the same program. Both I qualify as off-ball linebackers, but for just completely different roles, if that makes sense. I'm not sure where you guys sit, but I think those two guys were clearly tier 1.
I agree with that, gentlemen. Steve, Seth, do you guys have any arguments with that?
No, not at all. Those are. It's a kind of a drop off after those two guys. I mean, it's a good class, but those guys are clear at a step above everyone else.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to next guy on our grading scale is Jacob Rodriguez. Do we think that he falls into the the tier 2 run the card in at 25 or the tier 3 select at 25?
No. I couldn't do it. I love Jacob Rodriguez. He's probably one of, if not my favorite watches it off ball linebacker this class, just because of aesthetically what he does and what I believe a linebacker should do. But I can't say outright take him at 25 or take him or trade up or run the card in at 25. I would have to probably trade back. I feel better about him in like the 40 area, 35 to 40. That's me. So I'd put him in the fourth tier.
That's where I mean, and I'm biased as a Texas Tech Red Raider myself, but I agree. I think tier 4 is where he belongs. Steve, Seth, do you guys think that that's fair?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just in my evaluation of him and the way I grade things. Basically, anything in that tier, I kind of put into that second round, or if everybody's gone and you're at the back end, the first, maybe you take him and feel okay, but you probably don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Then how about CJ Allen, a guy who's been, talked about as a potential first round pick and a guy who, since the start of this process?
I don't like CJ Allen. I tried. I'll throw him in the same thing of the trade down, but I would almost be inclined to say if he's there 57 or 60, that's fine. But what he does versus what Dennis Allen really wants, like, I think he's a liability to an extent in coverage. I think he's much more guard to guard than he is sideline to sideline. Like, I just don't see it the way other people do. And I get it. People love the mentality, love the captainship of that defense. Everyone who talks about him raves about him, and it's like I feel like I'm on this island of like he's fine. Like, I just think I think he's a lot more bark without the bite, so to speak. But that's me. I'm not sure where you guys would put him. I'm okay with wherever you guys want to lay him out at.
Yeah, I think I was actually probably the high one on him, and I still have him in that fourth tier probably. I wouldn't want him at 25, but if they trade down and get him, I'd be fine with that. I mean, I agree with anything Danny said about his profile. I mean, not like too many arguments there. I just really love my thing with linebackers is instincts and stuff like that. And I do think he is a little bit more physical than some of those linebackers below him. So those two things to me, I know, he is a little stiff for sure. And maybe isn't as, athletic as, sideline to sideline, but I think he just is going to be able to put himself in really good situations. I still think I still wouldn't take him at 25 though. So I think a trade back would be fine with. There aren't many players that kind of in that range that I would be too upset. As long as the Bears trade back and draft him, I wouldn't be too upset about a guy like CJ Allen.
Yeah, he's a guy I like more in thought and at the collegiate level than to be able to replicate the same amount of success in the NFL. So, like if you could guarantee that he's going to play at the same level and have that same level of competition, sure, but that's not how the NFL works.
Yeah, I agree. So are we thinking? So is that? I'm sorry, I was kind of doing some formatting of our screens too. Four.
I said I could justify 5, but I don't think that's gonna fly.
Yeah, and I think that does fairly like match. Like, I'm gonna hide these really quick, but like Danny, you had a 7.59 on him. That's like a mid-second, and I think most of us were at least like that was as low as we really got on him. Was that mid-second range? So I think that really fits that well.
Yeah.
All right, now Jake Golday is a guy who I think we're a little higher on than maybe consensus. Where do we think that? Do we think that he's that tier 5, 57, 60, or do we think that that's like a potential trade up from 57, 60?
I would probably throw him at 5. I think Allen and Rodriguez are probably their own cloud.
Okay.
And I would throw him in 5. But like again, that's it's not my show here. I'm just giving my opinion.
I put it in there as a placeholder, see if how everyone else feels. I'm not sure. Who else? Steve, did you get a grade in on him, or was it Nick that also got a grade in on him?
I didn't get a grade on him. I watched a few games, but I didn't
feel
comfortable putting a grade in there.
Yeah, so Nick was a little lower on him, but and Seth, actually, you got him as well.
Yeah. You can go ahead, Seth, since you have a grade on him.
I think most of his grades for me came from the athleticism and prospect of that, and combined with his size, but I can't justify
I don't think he.
anything
That's
higher.
another one though. I don't think he tested or played to what he tested.
Yeah.
Like,
And he was
I
weird because he wasn't even really playing like a traditional linebacker role. He was
no.
like an overhang defender. So it's like there's some projection in his game if you're just going to be playing him as like a Mike linebacker, a Will linebacker, or Sam, wherever you want to play him. There's going to be
Right.
projection there because he didn't really play that role in college. And like you said, I don't think he necessarily tested as well as he or played as well as he tested.
Yeah, I think 5 is fair for him, though, especially
Yeah.
like you said, Steve. Some of that projection that comes with his position, like what did he do in college, is kind of iffy
Yeah.
as to how that translates.
Right.
Now, a guy who had some debate in the chat earlier today on was Anthony Hill Jr. So I think it was Danny, you had a 7.27, Nick had a 7.54. So Danny had a back end second grade, Nick had like a mid second round grade, Seth has a mid second round grade, and Steve, you were a little lower with a third round grade on him. So where are we falling kind of after the chat today versus how we want to handle this?
Well, since I'm the low man, I'll kind of just explain why I'm lower on him for everyone. I just with Hill, he's obviously got great size and great athleticism. Like that is obvious. And a lot of times you pick a guy with good size and good athleticism, that's not necessarily a bad bet to make. But with linebackers especially, I just put a lot of emphasis on two things mostly: instincts, just recognition, and then physicality. And I felt he was below average in both of those. So if you draft him, you're banking on coaching him up and getting at those instincts. But I don't really know if you can really get that physicality out of him. I mean, it didn't make sense. Like there would be like a screen to the outside, and he would just try to go underneath a blocking wide receiver instead of just running through his face and making the tackle. And sometimes he was athletic enough where he would be able to run underneath the wide receiver and make a play because he's so athletic. But I wanted to see just a little more physicality. I don't know if he's going to necessarily be able to do that in the NFL when guys are bigger, faster, more athletic. So, but just the linebackers without physicality just scare me. So I was lower on him, for that reason mostly. But the athletic traits are obviously great, and I will say I do think the Bears have talked about bringing speed to their defense, and Hill brings that. So it would not surprise me if the Bears are higher on him than I am.
Seth?
I don't disagree with what Steve said. I will, and first and foremost, the thing I most covet in linebackers, like Steve does, is I want linebackers that A, are instinctive, and B, you're going to hit. Please, for the love of God, your job is to literally clean up plays. That is the nature of why you exist, to back up the line. It's in your freaking name. But I also do have an element of I'm the planet theory guy, and I also have something I call the 5 rep rule, where if I in 5 reps just think you can play football, I'm probably inherently going to gravitate towards you.
I like that.
And it doesn't mean it works. Like Keon Coleman hit my 5 rep rule where I was just like, this dude he's an athlete. He can play football.
Yeah.
It doesn't work all the time. It actually probably has a terrible hit rate, but if my instinct is that boy good, after it's like I'm probably going to be inclined to see you the way I want to see you inherently, just like anyone else. Like we have biases when we watch. And when I watched him, he's a fluid athlete. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. And the first thing I thought of when I saw him was Pete Werner at Ohio State. That's the player I saw. And it's probably why I gravitated towards him, because who did Pete Werner play for? In New Orleans, he played for Dennis Allen. Now, do I think that his role in Chicago would make sense? I don't know, because I think that's supposed to be filled by the kid they signed from Cleveland, who was drafted by Pittsburgh, Devin Bush. And I think that's his role. So I think they're going to be looking for more of a Mike, and I don't think Hill is a Mike. So I would probably throw him in that probably more 6 area, personally.
And I'll add on to that. I like the athleticism, but I'm also a sucker for overall production. And I do think at least in the film I watch, in terms of like getting after the quarterback when asked to, and throwing yourselves into run blitzes, which I feel like a DA likes to blitz and likes to utilize things in a lot of different ways. And for my notes, I had that he had 12 sacks over the last 2 years and did an awful lot of blitzing from the games I watched. So that's where he got a little bump up to me, where I would be comfortable in that like tier 5, because I think in the interim, while you bring him along in other aspects, you can utilize him in ways that are fun and are going to cause some havoc.
Mhm.
Now I just looked it up. Pete Werner was drafted 60th. So like that makes me kind of say, okay, if we believe that archetype, we've seen Dennis Allen do this very spot before. But I really like Danny's point about Devin Bush already being here, because that sounds a lot like Devin Bush.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can like the player and I can like the archetype of what they need, but I don't know that he's necessarily a target, because I think they kind of already acquired him. And someone pointed out to me on the linebacker show, Bush has never had the green dot, not in Pittsburgh, not in Cleveland. So I don't know that he's going to be in the middle calling plays.
Yeah, I think that makes me lean towards 6 here, as long as you guys don't have too much pushback on it.
6 is good. I personally put him at 7, so I'll take 6.
Okay. Now, next up here, guy who Danny in the pre-show called Itty Bitty, I believe.
Oh, itty bitty. He's so tiny.
Kyle Lewis, who's just kind of an odd fit from what I've gathered from hearing you guys talk about, because I haven't actually watched him. But Danny, the floor is yours here.
Kyle Lewis was one of my favorite watches at linebacker, because I just think he's instinctual. He triggers hard. He plays football really well at the position of linebacker. He's just small, and he's kind of wearing his Velcro jersey at all times, where the second someone gets hands on him, he's stuck, because he is small. He doesn't hand fight well. He's not going to sift through the garbage well. He's not going to stack and shed well. He's not going to be able to, as Steve said, and it's a great term, he doesn't run through anyone's face, because he literally can't. He's too little.
Mm-hmm.
But he's good in coverage. He can spot drop. He can pick up and run the seam. He can do a lot of things well. But like we discussed on the linebacker show, I feel like he would have been better 10 years ago coming into the league versus now, when the league was trying to get smaller and faster. And now we're kind of coming back around where the league is getting bigger and stronger, and he just happens to be caught as an archetype gone by, I feel like, almost. And I don't know what his role is. Like, I can like him all I want, and I can think he plays hard and plays well. I just don't know what he does. So for that, I'd probably put him in, like, what would that be? I'd probably put him at 7.
7? Pick 87?
Yeah. Like, but I don't think he's going to be a target. Like, I just don't.
I mean, I think we've seen over multiple drafts, like guys who have a very distinct role like that, they either get overdrafted or they fall. Like, there's no real in between, I feel like, because some team falls in love with a specific role that they have for him, or every team says, or that those two teams who might have that specific role say, we want him, but like this other guy's sitting there, and then he just keeps falling. So like I don't know that his role fits the Bears that clearly, but Steve, Seth, what are your guys' thoughts?
Seth, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'd honestly almost have him in tier 8 for me. He seems more built and skilled for flag football than NFL football from when I watch him. I just don't see it translating well. You can have all the good intentions and desire and effort, but it's I don't see it working. So I don't even think I had a grade on him.
For the record, I'm totally fine with 8. I'm saying 7 because I like him. I think he plays instinctive. He knows how to play football. He's just small.
Yeah, I think I would probably put him in 7 just because he is undoubtedly a good football player. You know, but I struggle as well. Like, where do you put him? He's not a linebacker in my mind. I think he's really a nickel defender is kind of like how I would classify him. Kind of like you put him in the same tier as or position as like Keontae Scott.
So him and Keontae Scott should be in their own position group.
Yeah,
I was going to say. I was like, you could almost say he's an idealized dime backer, big safety, small.
That's kind of how I view him. I think if anything, I'd rather probably rank him with the safeties. But I think he's a good football player. All the coverage things that Danny mentioned, I think is spot on. He's just a really good football player. I would probably put him in 7. If we want to put him in 8, I have no problem with that, just because I think the fit with the Bears is weird. Kind of like we were saying with Anthony Hill. Like, if you are going to play him at linebacker, you're going to play him at the will, and Devin Bush is going to play that position. So what do you do with him for the Bears?
So
I would personally put in 7, but if we put him in 8, I'm not going to argue too much with it.
All right, so we seem to be indecisive here, Q. This is your scouting room. Go ahead. What do you want to do with him?
I think in this class, if you find a good football player at 87, you just kind of take him.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
To me, that's 7. And then I'm interested in this one because this is a guy I did watch. And Josiah Trotter, like, can this guy wear a green dot? Can this guy play, Mike?
I really like Josiah Trotter because he plays with bad intentions.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like you. And like I said on the other show, wrong kid got the name.
Yeah.
I would actually probably have him in a higher tier than guys like Lewis.
That's where my head's going.
I would honestly probably tell you I would take him at like the 6th tier as opposed to the 7, but that's me.
I would almost even take him at 5, to be honest.
Yeah, I was debating.
It's kind of like in between 5 and 6. Like,
yeah, because I really liked Josiah Trotter's tape.
Yeah, I like the way he plays. I mean, and he comes from the pedigree that he comes from. I mean, his dad obviously played for a long time. His brother plays in the league. Like, and for that reason, I think he could wear the dot. I think he is smart. And, he's definitely got a long ways to go. A little bit. I think he's more of development, but I think the talent is just too good to pass up.
I think he's really like I like the term when I see guys that are like just really revved up and like know how to get to the football, but don't necessarily always know where it's going. I like to call they're like uncalibrated heat-seeking missiles. They're just kind of like everywhere all the time, but they're kind of guessing wrong. And I feel like that's Trotter to some extent. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I'd rather teach you how to maybe diagnose and read versus try to teach you how to be aggressive and attack. Because how long have we been waiting for Tremaine Edmonds to become aggressive and attack the football?
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah. And he might
except for a 4-game stretch this season.
Yeah. And he, you're going to have to kind of hide him in coverage, at least initially. But I do think like coverage, I mean, for sure. But I feel like he's so young and the pedigree he comes from, and he's so talented. I think he has a chance to get better there. But you're going to have to hide him initially. But like you said before, I'd rather have to teach him how to cover than teach him how to hit. And that's why I have him over Anthony Hill, because I just don't think you can coach guys up to be more physical than they are. They're either physical or you're not. And Josiah Trotter, I have no questions there. The guy's a monster.
Well, I mean, if we want to throw him at 5, I'm personally good with it. I really like Josiah Trotter.
So Seth, as the individual in the room who's a touch lower on Trotter, if we put him at 5, are you going to stand up, walk out of here, and be like, "I'm going to work for another team"? Because I don't see it.
I mean, I could be talked into it. I see some of the way in which he does run fit things and his coverage as being not exactly where I'd want a linebacker to be in that range. But if you're betting on coaching and betting on physicality, I can understand it. I see, and especially if he's going to be in a Mike role and the way, it was utilized last year in this defense, coverage does matter. So, I mean, I could be talked into it. I wouldn't be like pumping my fists, but I could understand it.
I think we put him at 5 here because he's going to be at the bottom of this tier if we put him in it. So there's going to be, a dozen names ahead of him in this tier. And it's like, so he's a fail safe at pick 60, essentially, at that point.
I'm telling his dad you called him a failure.
Do it, because he'll only be more motivated then.
Yeah. 2 motivated players on one defense. Could you imagine that?
Oh my god! If he gets Dio Dango's motivation, oh my!
All right, so now we're on to Deontay Lawson, who, Danny, you're the only one who has a grade in for him. So, I mean, you're the expert on this one.
I don't even like him. It was just like I watched him. It was fine. Like, okay. I just was left wanting more for a guy who played a lot of football. That was what it came down to. I thought he was kind of soft. Contact adverse is the nice way to say it. Like,
That sounds like tier 8 to me. Like it's like if we
Yeah,
gotta do it,
that
like
that sounds reasonable to me. I would say tier 8 is fine. Like I don't want to go too far into him because we shit on him and his other Alabama linebacker mate on the other show.
that was the funniest moment of this season shows. Okay, we'll move on to Michigan guy Jimmy Rolder here, who and to be clear, we're only gonna go through the top 100, and then I'll open up to the floor. Is there anyone else who you want to throw into like tier 9 or tier 8? But
Okay.
with Jimmy Rolder, where do we think he belongs?
I think he's in the 10, tier 10. I mean, I think
10.
I have the higher grade on him than anyone, maybe. But I still think he's just a nice day 3 pick. If you get him in round 5, I think that's fine. He's really good against the run. The coverage is a big question mark. Athleticism is a big question mark. We kind of compared him to Jack Sanborn before this, and I think that's kind of like how I view him. So I don't know if the Bears beat him because we have Jack Sanborn. I don't know if we really need 2 of them, but I think he'd be a good day 3 pick. And like I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I have a feeling that's going to be kind of the take with kind of the rest of the guys.
I would throw Bocher at 9.
Okay,
I like
I agree.
Bocher a lot.
Now-
The only other ones I would even mention, and they're all 10. Torian York, Alarms Orr are both 10. The other ones I don't care. Aiden Fisher, throw into the trash.
Now,
Yeah,
I wanted to toss it to Seth as the Michigan guy for Rolder before we close that one out. Are we good with 10 there, Seth?
Yeah, I mean, if this was 2006, I'm here for it. Throw him in a Lovie Smith defense as the Sam and let him stop the run and do nothing else. But that's
be Hunter Hillenmeyer.
Yeah, that's basically what he would be. And be with everything else that he's seemingly lacking right now. That's exactly where he falls for me.
Okay. So we'll mark the rest of these guys as 10s, and we will move on to the next position group. So we'll just jump straight into cornerback, and we'll go in alphabetical order from here. But Seth, you're the only corner scout in the room, so we're going to be throwing these to you first. Now with Mansour Delane, I mean, this feels like a 1, right? Like, and probably the first 2 guys here are probably both 1s. But you tell me.
Sorry, I was having an issue unmuting myself for a second. Personally, I mean, I would put them both in 1. I'm a massive Pons fan. I think if he was 6 foot, we're talking about probably the best corner in this class, just in everything he does. And then Delane, I think, is fantastic. I wish he was a little bit better in man coverage, but there's no like perfect corner in this class by any means. And he does enough to get everything, together. So I'm comfortable with both of them being 1.
Now, on a consensus board, where's Pond sitting? Like, are we an outlier on him? Which it's fine if we are. I'm just trying to get an idea.
He's, from everything I've read and seen, he's very up or down, where like everybody loves him, but understands that he's going to be a nickel. But there's a lot that have him with like first round talent, but the size, like where do you put him in that? But I've seen him mostly in the top 20 in a lot of things I've seen.
Okay.
yeah. So he's 54 on the consensus board. I just looked it up, but I feel like he has risen since then because the thing is just the size. Like that is what everyone will have the first like weakness in his profile is size, but he's not like that small. It's not like he's 160 pounds. Like he's undersized.
No, he's
for sure,
built
but
strong,
and he plays bigger than what he is. So it's like, is the size that big of a concern that you have him as a first round grade on film, but you knock him down like a full round when size really, isn't like a huge. It's not. I don't want to say it doesn't show up, but it's not.
It doesn't
it's
show
not
up a
something
ton.
that. It's not a ton. It's. I mean, it's going to be an issue because it just is what it is. It's going to make the jump to the NFL, but it's not that big of an issue on tape. So I don't think it should. I think he's being unfairly knocked down for that reason when it's already part of the evaluation. And then he tested as an elite athlete, so it's like that makes you feel even better about it.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was just touching on the size thing. Sometimes you hear people talking about him, or you see like things being put out there regarding his size, and you would think he's Emmanuel Forbes. It's like
Mhm.
he's not that slight. Like he's pretty well
Yeah.
put together. Like I don't get where like he is small, like that's undeniable, but he's not like what was Emmanuel Forbes, 158 pounds or something like that, where it's like,
Right.
how is this gonna play in the NFL? He's like an eighth grader.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I think most of it came from just his height, but to that I always say, look at his vertical and look how he plays. Yeah, he's shorter, but dude jumps like what,
it,
44
So-
inches or something like
I
that,
was
like
g-
jumps out of the building.
I was gonna ask just because I've only watched a game of him. I'm not some sort of authority on him. Do you think he can be Brent Grimes, the shorter, more stout outside corner who thrives more off athleticism?
I think he can. I think the way nickels are used now, like he could be a just dynamo in the slot and
Sure.
can push outside if needed. But
Now, you
just like
guys,
all the things he does combined.
on the
How big was
cornerback episode, you guys briefly mentioned something about potentially using him in a Tyrann Mathieu type role, which really piqued my interest. I haven't watched any Ponds, but like when I heard that, my eyes got wide, and I was like, Dennis Allen, Tyrann Mathieu, yes.
You could 100%. I mean, the dude, like, he flies around and he throws his body with zero regard for his safety, but he does it with such a high IQ level that, like, it's never, in a bad scenario. He's always thrown himself at just the right time and just hitting way harder than he should at his size. And he can do everything in coverage. If you need him to drop back, he can do that. He's got IQ for days. So if you do need to drop him back at safety at some point or throw him around wherever, he can do it in my eyes.
My comp for him was Jason Barrett without the injuries, and Jason Barrett was really really good before he got
Jason-
injured.
Yeah, out of
So,
TCU.
I mean, he was about the same size. Jason Barrett 5'9", 189. I mean, he's a little heavier than Pons. Both Barrett ran a 4.38, Pons ran a 4.36.
Now,
That's what I see.
my only argument against tier 1 with him is that
Mhm.
I feel like I'd feel like if they traded up for him, I'd be sitting there going, they didn't need to do that.
Yeah, I agree with
Is
that.
that
If we're talking
set-
tiers, I would maybe put him in maybe even just 3, just because I don't know if they want to trade up for any cornerback, to be honest.
That's where
And
I
I'm
would
not-
agree, especially
yeah.
because they paid Kyler Gordon. And I think the Bears situation would put him probably in that, 3. Or like it, because it doesn't make sense for them to do it just because of what they have in place. But on sheer talent, I would put him in that tier 1. But in terms of logical thing for the Bears, it doesn't make sense because you don't make that move unless A, you're moving Kyler or you're done with him. And
Okay.
clearly with that kind of money and the way they talk about him, he's not going anywhere.
Okay, I'm good with tier 3 there then. And moving on to Colton Hood out of Tennessee. Now, interestingly, because of me, he's above Jermod McCoy. That's because of my tier. But Seth,
What did you have him at?
Colton
to get-
Hood,
Yeah.
I've got him at 779. You've got a higher grade on him than me. I'm just much lower on McCoy.
I think I'm just higher on corners in general. But I had McCoy higher. I mean, I feel like with either of these next two, you're not trading up for corner, period. But I would be running up to take either one of those two.
I mean, with Hood, I agree 100%. Like I think they run the card in as fast as
Yeah,
they can.
his floor is so good. McCoy, his tape at whatever he was like 18 years old before all the injury and weird stuff happened is like you're betting on that guy coming back. And if you have put him through workouts and stuff and you feel like he's there, I think you run the card in on that one because He's supremely athletic.
I'm okay with that. With going with that as one of the probably the lowest guys in the world on Jamad McCoy. Um, I'm
It's
okay accepting that I might be wrong here based on the consensus in the group.
God, I would be really conflicted with a guy who hasn't played football over a calendar year
That's part
at
of why my
20.
grade's low.
It's dude, I don't care what his sport. A lot of guys run fast in shorts. He hasn't played football in a year.
No, and I'm not even just talking about
No, I'm not.
the
I'm
test.
speaking more universally,
Oh, gotcha.
Seth,
Yeah.
not just to you.
No, if you feel like you're putting him through workouts and seeing what his body looks like, that if he's not there, you don't. But if you put him through workouts and you're like, yeah, he legs, shoulders, everything's looking good. He's looking fit and everything, and is able to do all of the things athletically that you want him to do. He's just so young that I feel
He's not
like,
even 21 yet, right? So
yeah, I think he just turned 20. Yeah, he's quite young, has a lot of talent, but you're betting on it, and I'm a little higher to bet on some of those things. Um, Now, if you're going off of strictly like, do you think he's the toughest person in the world, and do you want to take him? He's probably not necessarily going to fit that bill, especially with the concerns of why didn't he come back?
Yeah, that's the other part of why I'm lower on
You
him
know,
is I did not like his aversion to physicality and combined with the injury and him coming back. But I'm okay with putting him at 2 here because the talent's obvious. Like it's clear as day. So we'll go ahead and go with 2 there. Now with Avion Terrell. This is an interesting one because he tested so poorly, but he's so versatile. And like when I popped on this guy's tape, I was like, Dennis Allen's gonna love this guy. I don't know if he works for the Bears because I think he projects best in the nickel, but like I think that he fits the defense very well. But Seth, what are your thoughts?
I think he's a high floor guy, and I agree with you. I think at the next level, he's more suited for nickel. Um, I'm not as high on the ceiling for him as others are. Um, I don't see the top end elite ability. I see some fun things, and maybe you can tap in, but I don't know if he's at the athletic level you need to be at like that elite tier.
And
Now,
cornerback is such a stopwatch position. Like it's
yeah,
different than linebacker. Linebacker, like I'm okay with you if you're a little slower, but with cornerback, there are not many cornerbacks who are unathletic or even a step below like elite athletes that turn into really good corners. So, and I don't think his tape was intriguing. I like him as a nickel, but I don't think it necessarily was so good where I can overlook the athleticism. And he's a little bit undersized as well. So to me, I mean, for those reasons, just because the nature of the position, I would put him in like tier 5. If he's there, you
so
take him. But
I'm personally good with tier 5. I just want to throw out one thing I like. If you're just for the intangible part, he is AJ's little brother. I, for one, am a big believer in little brother complex. I believe these kids that grow up in Big Brother's shadow who have to then overcome those things and make their own name and make their own way. Which it's funny that he went to Clemson as well because I believe AJ did as well. AJ did too, if memory serves. But I'm a big believer. Like if you think he can play, and I think he's a tough SOB. I do think he's a nickel, which makes me wonder what his fit is for this team if they were to go that route. But I just something else to chew on, I guess, to present because I just do believe in things like the little brother complex.
And a good poll here in the comments that Avion has caused 8 forced fumbles at Clemson. Got a little peanut punch to him. But I mean, I personally think tier 4. Like I don't think he's getting to 57 or 60. And I could see in a trade back scenario them coming away with him and feeling good about it. Like I don't really see them trading up in the second for him, but in a trade back scenario, maybe they trade back into the 40s. I could feel good about that personally.
I would too, just because he can play outside, and I feel like if he's sitting there closer to that in the 40s or even like broaching on 57, I'd be comfortable with that because if he's your number 2 corner, and especially if you're not confident Kyler can get through a whole season, never hurts to have somebody who can play both. especially compete for that number 2 spot. So I think I'd agree with you there, Q.
And a lot of that is really trusting the tape over the testing because I
Mhm.
know he did have the hamstring injuries with the testing. Like I'm not sure how much that impacted him, but I didn't think he was near that slow. Like I think that is a aberration on his testing personally. But moving on to San Diego State corner Chris Johnson, and I haven't watched any of him, so Seth, this one's falling on you.
I like him a lot. Like not as like a first round talent or anything like that. I just think he does everything pretty darn well, inside out, special teams. Like he's a guy, if you need him to do it, he'll do it. He's got good, not great athleticism, but it's like broaching on there, on the tape at least. I don't know all of his testing off the top of my head, but when I watch him, he moves around really well. Um, I'm higher than him than I think a lot of people are, just because I like corners who can kind of be in the number 2 role, like a little bit boring, who can just kind of do their job, and you're not saying their name for. He might not get all of the interceptions, but he's not going to allow 7, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns. Um, I like him a lot in that more, uh, 5 to 6 area.
Okay, I mean, I think calling him a 5 or a 6 is fine by me. Do you guys have any thoughts on that, or
I haven't watched
should
it.
I just make a call?
Yeah.
I think
Go for it.
6. I think he falls into kind of an area where you're gonna wait for him a little longer.
Does it feel like there was a lot of nickels in this class to you guys?
Yeah,
There's a lot of nickel hybrid nonsense throughout both this and the safety group.
yeah. Now with
I was just looking at the next name. That's why I said it. Like this is another one. Cisse or whatever is a nickel. I'm pretty sure too.
yeah, now with I guess Seth, I think we're taking a little bit of time here so far in the sake of speeding things up a little. How do you see the next like group of names here from Cisse down to Igbenison kind of breaking out in range in tiers?
Honestly, just from the flaws that each of them have, I'd probably be in the 8 range for essentially not Cisse, but Dalen down to Davison. I'd probably put Cisse just because of some of the trait things in that 7 range.
7, okay.
Yeah, I just
you guys
the negatives on Davison and some of the flaws in the game of the other two just don't make me super high on them.
I'm curious whether there's an argument to be made for Cisse in 5 or 6.
I was gonna say 5 for. I was even borderline 4 on Cisse. I didn't watch all these corners, that's why I've been a little quiet. But I did watch Cisse, and I liked him quite a bit. I think he's really young. He's only 20 years old. He's twitchy athlete. He is. I think he could play outside and inside. I think he has that versatility. There are things in his game that he needs to clean up, but I think that when you have a cornerback who's that athletic and that smart against the run, and the one thing I really struggle with him is he's not a wrap up tackler. Like he has to get better. He puts himself in good position to make plays, but he never. There's not many even examples you can point to of him wrapping up and tackling. But as a coverage corner, I really liked him. So I'd probably put him in. I would put him in 5 personally, at borderline 4 or 5. But I'll settle on 5.
He's got, like, if you're looking at the traits, which I mean, for the draft, there is a lot of that. Beyond just the tackling, like there's a lot of good things in coverage with him. I just feel like playmaking as a whole, I just didn't see like a ton of it from him. And I don't know if that's just a coaching thing. Like, hey, you need to look for these little subtle things with a wide receiver and how to time things better. I didn't think, like in some of the next level things for corner, like the 50-50 balls and just timing things, I don't think he's there. But if you think you can teach him those things, you can definitely put him in the 5 to 6 area, just on traits. Traits, I could definitely, if you feel really strong about coaching him up, and Al Harris seems to get a lot of good out of people. I could see that. I would have a hard time taking him at 57 or 60, but if you're betting on the upside, which with some of these corners, you're betting a lot on traits. So
Yeah. And that's my thing. It always comes back. Cornerback position just comes down to traits for the most part. If you got to find guys who have those traits, and then you got to hope you can coach up the rest of it. So that's why I had. But if we want to put him at 6, I'm fine with that. Or whatever. I'd put him in 5 personally, but wherever you guys think is best. You guys have watched more cornerbacks than I have, so I'll defer to you guys.
I didn't particularly like Cisse's tape, but I just think if you want an athlete like that, you have to pick him in the 5 tier. But I just don't think that guy gets to the 6th tier. And ultimately, I'm kind of falling back on within that tier. He's going to be near the bottom of it for us, I think. So it will be like he's a fallback option within that tier. He's not an initial option in my mind. And with Everett and Igbinison, I'm good with 8. Part of me wants to go 7 with Abney, especially at pick 87, just because I think he plays football the right way. And at 87, you tend to pick a guy who just does that. But so would you guys have any qualms with that, or can I go ahead and move him up to 7?
Honestly, like especially if we're adding more trait things in, you could probably move Everett into 7 as well, because he does have some athleticism, some speed to his game, and I think you can talk yourself into it. For me, I do look at ball production probably a bit too much at times, and flags at times with corners. That's why, like, borderline at times I'd put Davison at like in the 10 tier, because he cleaned it up last year, but the previous year, like
I really liked Davison just because he doesn't get, dude.
Yeah, but we, the not given,
I understand. I also know I have a type. I like corners who are going to play smash mouth and just get in your face, and Davison does that.
I like smash mouth if you do the other stuff really smart. And the problem is like, I feel like he gets too into things of like, yeah, I'm having fun with this, and oh nope, there he goes.
What was it? 30 penalties.
Yeah, and like
awesome.
I think it was like 15 or whatever in like 1 year. It was insane. They're like, oh, he cleaned it up. He had 5 last year, and it's like
to make
still
clear,
every other game.
Here, let me put it to you.
And they were like big penalties too, not just like, oh, he nicked him a little bit. It's like, yeah, no, he dragged this dude down for no reason.
Get your money's worth.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm fine with leaving him at 8, just for the mentality that he.
I'm surprised Sicario is so low.
So are there any names here? Because like I'm going to defer to putting all the rest of these guys at 10 unless anyone has a case for anyone to not be a 10.
Oh, I don't think Sicario is going outside the top 100 at all. I think Sicario, if you want him, you're probably going to have to take him he's probably an 8, but that's my opinion. Just because of how I think his testing at his size, I think he was like ridiculous.
He was okay. I mean, I don't think he blew anything out. I just think his quickness is just not there, and NFL level route running is going to give him issues. I think he's, to me, kind of like Nashawn Wright light. And that doesn't make me feel good. I wasn't.
I think you're both right though, because he has the size and athletic traits. So he's like one of those corners who's going to get drafted higher than 161 for sure. But I still don't like him that much. But I think if you wanted him, you'd have to take him at like 87 probably.
Let's make him a 9. 100. Let's make him a 9. Saying we're not moving up to get him, but like if he's there, we're gonna.
I think
he is a priority day 3.
He was a 976 Raz.
And
one guy.
Well, to your point, Nashawn Wright was a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
I also really like Will Lee. I want to beg the table for him to go at least into 9, but I think his high end reps were very, very good, like almost borderline elite reps. He had a lot of reps that were nowhere near that, and that's why he's kind of hovering around that top 100. Like he's a very up and down player, but I thought he had some really high end reps. I thought even some of the receptions that he allowed were contested catches, which maybe you could say he's not as good at the catch point knocking the ball out, but he is very sticky in coverage. I would put him in 9. He'd be the only, he'd probably the only guy in here that I would like fight for a little bit because I really like him.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable with that. The other guy that in actually like re-looking at everything, if we're gonna talk about like a traits guy, I think Julian Neal probably could go in 9.
Mhm.
I'm
like
Um,
him
okay
too.
with that.
just because guy's got super long arms and you like
Yeah.
tested really darn well.
So do we want to
Yeah,
put
and both
Lee up
those
to a
guys, I would. Both
Yeah.
those guys are press man coverage corners in college. I think they'll like both of them have really good length. We know Dennis Allen likes that, so I think they're and Davis too. All of them have length. Even Devin Moore too, really good
Yeah,
length.
it's just
So
the injuries for Devin that just
Yeah.
I
I'm fine
like
with- yeah.
Devin Moore a lot. I think he's a little bit allergic to tackling at times, and like
yeah,
allergic
I
to
don't know if it was business decisions or what on the games I watched after all the injuries, but like I'm gonna have a hard time with that combined with the injuries.
That's fair.
All right, now let's move this along to edge rushers here. Conversation everyone's waiting for. Steve, what do you do with a guy like Ruben Bain?
I don't know anymore. If you would have asked me this yesterday, I'd put him in 1. But yeah, now they got the off-field concerns. I still think I put him in 1 just because I don't have all the information on there. I'm just going to basically pretend that didn't happen. I'll let the teams figure that out. I would still put him in 1. I would consider trading up to him if he drops into that. Well, I don't know. This one's tough because if you trade up for him, you have to trade up pretty high. You're probably gonna have to give up next year's first round pick to get him. And even though I love his tape, he is a historical outlier with the arm length. So do you really want to trade up for a guy who's a historical outlier, even if you really like the tape? I don't know. I'd probably put him in 1, but I'd be convinced to put him in 2.
I think he's 2, maybe even 3, just because of the off-field stuff that came out today and the McCaskies being the McCaskies. Like, I'm not sure that the Bears are like Dennis Allen's excited about getting him. I'm not sure that the Bears overall ownership and front office is fully signing off on it, unless it's like, well, we have to because there's no one else here that good.
I think
I'd put him in 2.
I think 2 is the fair compromise because you're not just select you can't assume he'll be there at 3, so it has to be run up the card.
Yeah. 2 makes the most sense.
Now, how about Bailey? Does he fall
1.
into 1?
1.
I don't know if Dennis Allen would want David Bailey. You know
I don't
how
think-
good he
yeah,
is.
I
He's
don't
just not a
think
good running
I
back.
don't think this is so much about Dennis Allen at this point. It's like if you want this guy, you got to trade up for him. Like,
Yeah, I mean, in
To
that
me.
regard, yeah, I'm fine with a 1 there.
okay. Now,
3. And he gets a senior citizen discount for all his other defensive line mates.
Akeem Mesidor, yeah.
I mean,
so
I personally would put him in 2, but yeah, because I think the age thing is a little overrated, but I would put him in 3 just because that's probably more realistic. But just me personally, I'd put him in 2.
So you don't think he's a priority pick at 25? He's a settle for this guy pick.
Basically, only because of the age. If he was 23, 24, I think he'd be a priority. He's kind of who I'm hoping for personally. One of the guys I'm hoping for personally, but I think you just if he's there at 25, you have no problem taking him. But you do have some concerns about the age and the injury history.
Now, Malachi Lawrence, all 4 of us who have graded him have him like pretty firmly within our the top 25 here.
Take him there at all.
No, Danny?
Not even close to for a guy. If you're playing at that level of competition, you better be beating everyone's ass week to week, rep to rep. That's my thing with it. And he disappears at times. I feel like Allen will like him. I think he's close enough to the dimensions. I think he has a nice bag of tools in terms of his pass rush ability and his moves to get to the quarterback. I just didn't see it the way other people see it. Like I thought he was good, not great, and I left a lot. The way I felt like draft Twitter was talking about him when I finally watched him, I was like, I'm let down. I thought this guy was going to be like a hurricane, and he's just fine.
To me,
that's
fair.
Never happen. Like,
Yeah.
like a prospect gets overhyped, and then you're just disappointed in him, and you can't get that out of your mouth.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm just higher on him personally, and so I would put him in 2 because I think he just moves differently. I think he's got really good first step. I think he plays with violence. He's got really long arms. Like, this is a guy I think is an ascending prospect. So it's kind of like, yeah, there are some issues you need to clean up now. I think he could be a little bit better as a run defender, but I don't think he's as that bad of a run defender where he's not going to be on the Bears board. And he's got the size and the skill and the violence to get better as a run defender. So to me, he's two, but I totally understand the concerns. But he's just the only pass rusher that kind of like gives me any that the Bears might get that gives me any hope that he's more than just a guy.
And that's where I just don't think Dennis Allen kind of cares. I think his first and foremost thing that he wants is, can you set the run up? Can you filter everything back to the guys that need to make the play? I think that's just what he wants, and for better or for worse. And
it's weird.
I think there are times when
all
the
the guys he drafts are also extremely bursty.
They are,
right? Like it's weird. I don't know how to value which one because they're all 260 plus and they all come off the line of scrimmage like a bat out of hell.
And none of them do anything well at football.
Right.
You know what? Fine. Take Malachi Lawrence and it fits him.
I mean, to me, I think he's 2 because of that, because he's the only guy who has the length and the burst.
Can we settle at 3? Because I would put him in 4. I wouldn't touch him in the first round. Like I get where
2, but Q, you want him? I would put him in 2. Seth, where do you got him?
I would put him in 2. I like.
Yeah, damn. You guys suck and are wrong.
All right, that's 3 against 1. Malachi's going into 2, and Danny, to be fair, the consensus board's with you. Like, he's 44 on the consensus board, so like that is not a 2. But like, I don't know. I just think he's a 2 when I watch his tape.
And see, now this is where I'll probably differ. I'd put the next guy in 2. I think Eldrick Falk is a 2.
To me, he's a 3.
5, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
I hated his 25 tape when I watched it. I thought he was a different dude last year.
I think for me, he's a 3 just because I have questions about what he's gonna be. But like, I think this is a talent that is you easily select at 25.
That's it
from a physical standpoint.
God don't make him like him.
Yeah,
like that's it. And he's 20.
Yeah.
He's a baby.
Yeah, I'm fine with 3. I mean, I put him in.
Good.
I realistically put him in 3. I just don't think he's ever going to be the pass rusher that you would warrant a first round pick. But he's gonna be good against the run most likely. So there's a floor there with him. So I'd be fine.
I find it weird talking point on him where people are talking about kicking him inside. Like he's 6'7", isn't he? Like
it's because he's 280. Like 283 or something. That's why people say it.
That's a big dude to be kicking inside, man.
Yeah. I don't see that. His tape, he did have some reps inside, and they weren't good. So now, he needs a runway.
Now, how about Gabe Akis, guy who's been quickly rising up boards?
4.
Yeah, I feel good about 4. He's kind of like a tweener 4.5s, but I saw probably 4.
Yeah, I think he's a 4 to me.
He's got really short. He's got shorter arms too, right? Like he's good.
Does he?
They were over 33 inches, but they weren't like anything crazy for a guy who's like 6'4",
for some reason I thought they came in just under 33. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm probably wrong on that though.
I think it was.
I don't know.
Now, I think TJ Parker falls in the same tier here.
I think TJ's a 3 for me. I am totally accepting when I say that with him. I know what I'm drafting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of like when I describe him, he sounds like Alex Brown to me. To keep it Bears centric, 6 to 8 sacks, gonna set the edge on the run. You know what you're gonna get. He's a leader. He's gonna work hard. He's gonna play hard. He's gonna be a tempo setter for your defensive line room. Like it's nothing special. Like, but I know what I'm drafting. And that's for me in this specific draft class, that seems fine at 25 to me. I also just love how hard he plays. He plays his ass off.
He does. And that's like the difference between him and Akis is like, aside from like, I think Akis has more upside, but it's like TJ Parker he doesn't have the upside, but it's like, I don't think he has the downside. Like, it's just kind of, like you said, you know what you're getting. And you're going to get exactly what you're drafting. But like with Akis, it's like he could be any range of outcomes.
It's like you go to the doctor, they tell you have vitamin B and an iron deficiency. You need to start eating more broccoli. He's broccoli. Kind of need him.
The thing about Parker, where I struggle with Parker, and the reason I'd probably have him in 5, but if we want to have him in 3 or 4, I'm fine with it. But my thing with Parker, and Tom and I talked about this on the Edge podcast, is he's just kind of more of the same of what the Bears already have. He's solid across the board, but he doesn't have that one trait that you can really rely on. Yeah, he might get you 6 to 8 sacks a year, but they're going to be hustle sacks. They're not going to be like high end win, around the corner, like really high end rep sacks. So it's like you're getting a guy who's going to set the edge in the run game, and you're getting basically Carl Granderson from who Dennis Allen had for years and with the Saints, who was a fine player, but he was an undrafted free agent. It's just a profile that I think you can get later in the draft. Is really what it comes down to. It's not a bad profile. I think he's a good player. I just don't think it's a profile you need to spend high draft picks on. But that's my opinion. But I would put him in.
No, and Steve,
5,
I think you and I are saying the same thing. Like, I don't think he's anything special. I just think this class is that bad, and it's like,
and that's why this this is fun, because we're all saying the same things. And we've done this for a couple guys. We're all saying the same things. Thank you, Tom. We're all saying the same things, but
Tom says the Bears don't need broccoli; they need an energy drink.
100%, Tom.
I mean, I think so. Danny said 3. Steve says 5. I said 4. Seth, do you have an opinion here? Or should I just break the average?
4 as well.
Okay,
4 is fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Cassius Howell. Is he an 8?
Some stuff. I think he would be a 7.
7?
I think if he was somehow available at 87, I don't think he would be. I think even if Dennis Allen did want to, I think they'd probably lock him in a broom closet, and Ben Johnson would be like, "No, we're taking this guy."
Okay,
like that's kind of where
I tend to agree.
And just for the sake of time, I think you could just throw our Mason Thomas in there too. I think whatever tier we put Cassius Howell in, just also throw.
We think Dennis Allen will break the mold and say, "I want an overhanging blitzer," and this guy can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you probably throw Barheim in there too, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, unless anyone has
Zion Young a 5?
I think so.
He is.
I think so. I think so too. Just because of what Dennis Allen wants. Like,
I mean, I think our grades are pretty consistent on him. Even Tom ended up the highest on Zion Young, which is, I mean, I know he's a Mizzou guy, but like that's shocking.
Put it out on Twitter. Tom loves Zion Young. He's his favorite prospect.
Tom loves Zion Young. Write it in bold.
I'm good with 5 on him.
Yeah.
Derek Moore's an interesting one, though. Where do we think how do we think he fits?
I don't know.
There probably isn't a prospect I've struggled with more than Derek Moore in this draft.
When I first watched him, I thought he'd love him. And then as I marinated on, I'm like, I have no idea. He might love him. He might turn him on and be like, throw him away. I don't want him.
Yeah.
Is that a 6?
I mean, he's a power rusher, and the Michigan just kind of lined him up on like a wide alignment. So he had this huge runway to build up speed, and he beat up on bad offensive tackles for the most part when he had
Dennis
to go
Allen
against
does
anyone
love speed
good.
to power.
And he does. So it's like I think he fits, but I think maybe 6. I would say
that's where I'm thinking.
Because I think he's probably I think that's right.
Okay. Now from like Steve, if you just want to run through like Josh Josephs through Tyreek Sapp, like where are your thoughts?
Oh my God.
He's
I'll let Danny take Sapp. Just because I know how much he loves him. But Joseph, I mean, he tested so poorly, which is I probably need to lower my grade. I don't know if I took that into account. I think he would probably be in 8 or 9 even. Crawford, I liked a lot.
Poorly, I think a 9 is fair.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. With Crawford, I think he would be like a 7 because he's bigger than I think. When you like see people talking about Keion Crawford online, I feel like people talk about him like he's like 230 pounds, but he's 6'4", 250. He has a little bit shorter arms, but I think he's got pretty good burst. I think he would be a 7. Sutton, he's a 10 for me. I mean, to be honest, I don't really like him much at all. But he probably would be like an 8 or 9.
I think I'm the highest on him in the group. Yeah. To me,
you were.
I think an 8, just because I don't see him getting outside the top 100, and I think he does a lot of stuff that Dennis Allen wants.
I don't know. Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that.
I know. So you and I see him very differently. Like it must be the games we watched. And I
Maybe,
watched
yeah.
3 games, and I thought he was a great run setter in all 3. So, like, I'm not sure
It's probably just the
where,
games we've watched. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to watch every single snap of
but
the
it's
guy.
it's
So it's probably
bizarre
just
that they changed that much though. At some point, 'cause
yeah. There was
I
just
trust your eye. Like
yeah,
I know that you saw what you saw, but like I'm
yeah. I'm the same way with you. But
curious
yeah, it's
what
like
happened with their coaching staff this year, and like if there was some like just
I
kind of some
wonder if it's a
chaos there.
part of it is that Penn State season didn't go how they wanted, and he
Right.
just kind of checked out. It's like I'm gonna make sure I get healthy to the draft. Maybe it could be, and maybe I've watched games that were later, but yeah,
Well, and I did notice there were multiple guys this year where I said, but the Oregon game. And then at some point I
yeah,
was going, does Isaiah World is he just awful at football? Like,
yes.
all right, Daddy Tyreek Sapp.
Oh my guy. Planet Theory, in terms of just how he's put together, that dude is every bit of probably close to 275 pounds, and it doesn't look like it. He's just a ball of muscle. Really, I mean, he's for me, he'd probably be like, I think you're probably gonna have to take him at 87 if you want him. I know mock simulators have him go a little later, but I just know trench players don't last that long usually if they're worth their salt at all.
Dude,
I mean,
I would be pumped with him at 87. I
same.
don't care what the consensus says.
I don't give a damn. That guy's an ass kicker. Like, he's.
I like him. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just saying he's really thick through the lower half. You can tell he's really big and strong, and he hits the weight room hard. But that comes with the caveat of he's stiff. He doesn't bend well. He doesn't have a great step for step. He's got a lot of issues where he doesn't really get sacks unless it's cleanup work. And I'm really not entirely sure that he's a full-time defensive end, or more like, close your ears, Bears fans, but he probably is a little like Dio Odangbo in terms of role, where you're going to play him a little bit inside and outside and hope that's going to mask some of the issues in terms of how he gets to the quarterback. But the guy is unbelievably strong. He's so stout at the point of attack. He sets a great edge. He's a good tackler. Like, and he just plays with like a chaotic, pissed off energy all the time that I just love. Like, he plays football the way you're supposed to play it. And when you're playing it in like cut up football pants and no pads on to just kind of impose your mental will on people to show you can't hurt me. I got like, I don't know. I love it. I love it. The dude's awesome.
I would probably
sorry.
put him a tier lower, even though I agree with everything both of you said, and I like the player a lot. I just think if you have a guy who's probably never going to be able to rush the passer,
You bite your
you're
tongue.
looking at you. You probably won't be able to fight passer. I said what I said. I think that's a to me just outside the top 100 guy, but I'd be fine with I think an 8 would
Let's go 8.
make sense. But if you guys both want him,
Eight's fair. No, eight's fair.
if you want, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you really guys want him at 7, that's fine. But I think 8.
No, I'm speaking to this. Like, I literally only watched him because I did on my normal show. I did a mock draft and he happened to be there. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. Let me throw on a tape. And it was like the first rep was him like grabbing a running back and just throwing him on the ground. It wasn't even a tackle. It was like, you're mine now. I'm gonna throw you like a rag doll because I'm bigger and stronger than you. Like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah. I love the dude, but 8's fair. Now I'm marking the last 4 guys we have here as 10, except for maybe like I think Steve, you might have a case for Anthony Lucas here, or anyone else if you want to throw in there. But
no, I think Lucas as a 9 makes sense. He's definitely I would like just looking at the other guys we have him there, like Overton and those other guys. I think he's clearly a step up from those other guys, so I would put him at 9 for that reason. But this is the guy. It's like I'm going to point to going back to Zion Young and TJ Parker. It's like that isn't a profile you need to take at 25 or 57 or 60 because you can get Anthony Lucas at 129 probably, or just outside the top 100, who does all the same things, and he against the run, and then you got to hope you can kind of get him more out of a pass rush, because right now he offers you nothing. But he's only 20 years old. He's big. He's long. He's decently athletic. Like, I think there's more pass rush potential there, but he's at least going to be able to stop the run. So that's why I'm lower on those other guys, just because it's a profile that historically you can get on day 3.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I frankly, I'm a little lower on him. I didn't love his. I think I was expecting a little more from his tape than I got, but I can see what you're talking about and the traits that you're talking about, and I think he's just a clear fit for what the Bears are looking for.
Yep.
Okay, now we'll move this along to defensive tackle, and Steve, this one you and I both focused on, and I mean, Kristen Miller for me is a 2. For a lot of people, he might be a 3 or even a 4. To me, he's a 2 because I think you are excited about drafting this guy as someone who's just a floor setter in your D tackle room and might have more upside than has it been discussed.
I think in this draft class, especially, he might be a 2. I would probably have him as a 3. I don't know if I'd be excited about him at 25, but I would totally understand it. Be like, okay, Kristen Miller's totally worth the 25th overall pick in this draft. I view him more as like a high second round pick. Even in this class, but I would totally be okay with picking him at 25. So I'd probably be 3, but if you want to go 2,
I think 3 is the more reasonable take. I just think because I was early on him, I needed to stand on a soapbox, and that's hard for me to stop doing. But like, I think 3 is the reasonable take.
Yeah.
Now, Caleb Banks is a really interesting one. I mean, to me, he's a 4. He was my DT1 until I found out he broke his foot again. And that's terrifying because he's like 340 pounds and he's broken his foot twice. The stress fractures are terrifying to me. But if he's in that 4 range, that's like mid-second round, and the Bears have traded back, I'm gonna have a hard time saying I'm not interested at least.
Yeah, because the ceiling is just crazy. Like he high risk, high reward, but I'm totally okay with taking that profile if you trade down and you're picking in the 30s or 40s, whatever it may be, because the talent is clearly there. The movement skills is rare for his size. You talk about just guys who move differently. That's Caleb Banks. So I'm definitely afraid of the foot injuries for a 330-pound guy, but I'm not going to be too upset if they take a big swing on a guy who has a potential. If everything goes right, he could be one of the best players in this draft class if he hits his ultimate ceiling.
Danny, do you guys have takes on these two, on Miller or Banks?
You have Caleb Banks at home.
What, you think that?
I just don't see it. Okay. I think again, coming from the Planet Theory guy and my exercise science background makes my take on this very much based on his feet. Big guys with foot issues don't just stop having foot issues. Period.
That's fair.
It doesn't happen.
I'm okay with kicking him down to 5 because of that, honestly. And I love what I saw from Banks at his best moments. Like I was like, you don't teach this, but like the feet really terrify me.
Yeah, I'd have him in that realm too.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing in like basketball when people talk about like the 7-footer, like, oh, he's so great, but he keeps having these foot issues. He's 7 feet tall with foot issues. This guy's 340 or whatever he is with foot issues. It's not going to stop being an issue.
Yeah, totally agree. That's fair. I'm fine
now,
with 5.
Peter Wood, this is a 3, right?
That's
or do we think less?
Yeah, I think he's a 3, borderline 4, but I think he's still a 3 just because it's a weak draft class. And this is kind of like Peter, TJ Parker. You kind of know what you're getting, I feel like, with him. And it's
I thought his 24 was really good, Steve.
His 23 was really good too. I know, but his 25 just wasn't. I mean, not that it wasn't good, but it just wasn't as good. So I think 3.
It felt like he just like at a certain point not gave up, but just phoned it in a lot this last year. But if you're betting on the previous year's tapes, 3 makes a lot of sense.
One thing I've always said is guys who are good at an early age usually pan out in the NFL, and he was very, very good at an early age. Even if I don't want to say regress because I don't think that's the right word, but it just wasn't as good these last couple of years. So I think
plateaued.
Plateaued, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's a better word.
Yeah.
Those Clemson guys always seem to do that. Them and the Penn State guys, like
Penn State and you got to throw Texas in there too.
Oh yeah, yep.
There's a bunch of them.
All right, now Caden McDonald. This one, he was hyped coming into draft season. He was hyped throughout draft season. I never saw it. I think 4 is where I sit on him.
4. Without question, it's 4.
I'd have him in 3. I do think he's a guy. I mean, I'm fine with if we end up at 4. That's fine. I totally get that. But I think has the potential to be a game changer against the run. In today's NFL, that's important. And I think he has a little bit more potential as a pass rusher than he's given credit. It didn't really show a lot, this year, but I think he's just so big, and he is actually pretty nimble for his size and gets out of stance pretty quickly. And he's so young. Isn't he only like 20 years old, or am I thinking of someone else? But I still think there's more potential there. So I'd have 3. If you want to go 4, I'm totally fine with
You knock him down to 4 because his eye black is stupid.
Yes.
that. Okay, fair.
I mean,
Hayden
I
McDonald
just see
turned
Eddie
21,
Goldman.
Steve.
I see Eddie
Just turned
Goldman
21,
every
yeah.
time I watch him, and like Eddie Goldman was always touted as, oh, and he has some pass rush potential, and it never really came through. But like Eddie Goldman was a great nose tackle, right? He was a really good nose tackle for the Bears for years. But like I have a hard time drafting Eddie Goldman before the second round.
The problem with Caden McDonald is also like if you're talking about like game-changing run defenders, how many great run defenders step in year 1 and are great run defenders?
Yeah.
Like that's a hard conversation to have. And I don't dislike Caden McDonald the player. I dislike Caden McDonald the fit for the Bears.
That's right.
Now with Lee Hunter, I put him in the same range. But what do you guys think?
5.
I think he's more of a 5 for the Bears because I don't think that he's going to be higher on their board.
Same thing, Hugh. You know I love Lee Hunter. That Texas Tech defense was built around what he can do. I just don't see it for the Bears.
Okay. I'm okay with it just because, like, when it comes to my Texas Tech guys, I'm like, I want to defer more to you guys because I'm just biased. Like, I need to take that bias out of it.
We need more SIU Salukis on this board, I tell you.
We do. You got to work on that, Danny.
I'll get right on that.
All right. Now, with like Daryl Jackson, I mean, frankly, he's probably an 8 for me, a 7 or an 8. Just I don't think the Bears are even going to consider him.
I don't think the Bears are going to consider him.
No,
I still like
same.
Daryl Jackson. I think he's incredibly powerful and just like a crazy, huge human being. But the Bears, I don't see the fit.
I think an 8 feels right to me, unless you guys want to argue.
No,
I
think 8's right.
That's fine.
All right, now Grayson Alton, been through
5.
the roller coaster with him on draft rankings and all that. Danny's saying 5. I'm kind of in a 6.
Yeah.
Personally.
I think I'm kind of in between a 5 and 6. I would probably lean 6, but I could see 5 just because there aren't that many fits for the Bears at D tackle, like kind of in this range. There's a lot of like, oversized nose tackles and that. So I think if they want to draft a defensive tackle on day 2, like Grayson Halton probably is going to be the guy. And are you going to risk trading down from 57 or 60, or are you just going to take him there? That's my thought process, but
I think that's fair. There's not many guys like him, so you might have to go a little higher up to get him.
And I just think, for Halton specifically, I just think Allen's gonna love it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Dude.
Now, Nick Barrett for me is an 8 or a 9. But Steve, do you want to make a case for something higher than that?
I'm surprised. I think I might need to go back and lower his grade. Maybe I was now that I'm seeing like him ranked 89th. I really liked him a lot.
I just think he's so far away from being a good football player right now. But I think the traits are like the traits and the athletic ability is there.
Yeah, and he's a 1-year starter, 1 year of production, so that probably is a little scary too. So I think he's a little bit bigger, but I do think the Bears might still be interested in him because I think he does a lot of things that you want him to do. And I think he's got a really good first step. But what did you say? 8? I'd probably fine with that.
Okay. I'm even maybe thinking priority day 3. But
yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Let's go with the 9 then. Yeah. Now, Rayshon Benny to me feels like a 7 or an 8, just because I think he's going to fit what they want from a ability to run a lot of games and do a lot of loops and stunts on the defensive line. He feels like that he's really good at that stuff.
Yeah, my gut says 8, but kind of for the same reasons for Grayson Halton. Like he fits what they need. If they want to take him, they're just going to take him at 87. So I'm cool with 7.
Okay. And Danny, Seth, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be ignoring you guys. If you got anything to add, jump in.
We're past the area of where I watch, except for Big Citrus.
Yeah.
No, I think you're spot on with Benny. It's just so odd because like when you look at him a few times, you're like, oh, he could be a decent 3 technique, and then you watch the rest of the game, and you're like, you can do some things good, but he just doesn't have
You are
always-
certainly a football player.
I'm
Yeah.
Always
constantly waiting for it to hit. I know it's in there
Yes.
when I watch it, but I'm just waiting for it to finally happen on a play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say just constantly like you want just a little bit more every game you watch. Like So
Now Dominique Orange, big citrus to me. I mean, he's for the Bears. I think he's a 9 or a 10.
9. He's a 9.
Yeah,
I agree. Just
On
for the
tape,
Bears.
yes. On nickname,
Then he's
Oh,
a 3.
Let me be clear. I love Orange's tape. I don't like him for the Bears at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, if I knew nothing about the draft and someone told me the Bears just trade up for big citrus, I'm like, sign me the fuck up. Let's go.
Good for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And he immediately gets to take Q's hat.
Yeah, exactly.
I just hope Dominic Orange gets drafted by the same team that Mekhi Lemon goes to just for the memes.
Just for all the citrus fruit.
That's all I want.
This is, you know what, Steve? You and I together. That's what I want now too.
Now, I think both Caleb Proctor and Landon Robinson to me are priority day 3 guys. I could make a case for either of them in the 8 range, that between 87 and 100, or even up to 7. But like ultimately, my gut's saying they're priority day 3. Like if the Bears can end up with a pick between 100 and 110, I think that's where these guys are.
Can I
agree.
ask
They're
a
just too
question on
undersized to
Landon?
be.
Like, what I only watched like a highlight sizzle reel of him or two and
Proctor?
saw Landon,
Okay.
and I saw the measurements and I saw the pro day where like he's bending and his shoulders on the ground but his hips are up here. Like, would he be worth that 87th pick potentially?
I think so, but a part of there seems to be some uncertainty with his service requirements that I think they're still trying to work through. Supposedly, I think I heard that on NFL Stock Exchange today, but that and just the level of competition. Like he rocked against Notre Dame. He kicked ass against Notre Dame, but he didn't play anybody else all year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Undersized. He's undersized for sure, and then he plays a lesser level of competition. It's just hard to justify a top 90 pick for that, but absolutely, just outside the top 100.
Okay, it's hard to get anything off of like a sizzle reel, you know? Like,
Yeah,
and honestly, if they took him at 87, I wouldn't be that upset.
no,
But
I
it'd probably be a little
wouldn't.
bit of a
I'd be
reach.
fine with it. I think from a realistic standpoint of like the questions physically around these guys being undersized, being like not the prototype, like they have to be day 3 to me because of that.
Well, it's like the Lewis conversation, right? Good football player,
Right.
but it has to be the specific fit.
If you didn't have Grady Jarrett on your roster, I could sell it more. But you can't have 2 Grady Jarretts on your roster.
Yeah.
David Gusta, I love him. May Gusta, like that. I love this dude's tape. I think he's a clear fit for the Bears. I think you can wait into day 3. He's a 9 to me, maybe a 10. I just don't think he's going to go that high because I think his skill set is very specific to the Bears.
Yeah.
Like from his agility and ability to run stunts and his ability to just like win the point enough to be able to read and then just jump out into his stunt.
Yeah.
Very good fit for the Bears.
And then he tested really, really well. He was tested as an elite athlete, which I thought he was going to be a good athlete. I don't know if I saw the necessary elite, but yeah, I think 10. I think 10 is with him for sure. But I really like him. I think we're both on the same page there.
Now, Steve, is there anyone else here that you think we have a million names because I constantly I was just like, where are the good D tackles? They have to exist, and I just kept watching guys. And I didn't find many.
Yeah, there's some guys I like on this list. I mean, like I really like Chris McClellan. I don't know if the Bears are going to be in on him, so I think 10 makes sense. Demonte Carey part's really fun. I really like Renee Conga. I should say Renee Conga is really fun too.
I watched,
but I think they're all 10 probably.
Eason's the only guy I'd consider a 9 that I have here. Bryson Eason.
Where does Zane fall for you guys?
I hated his tape. So
I was the same way. I was like, I'm good. You can. I
could see his value as a gap shooter. I just don't think the Bears want gap shooters that much. They want guys who can hold up the line of scrimmage, read, and then get out into a stunt quickly. and
Yeah.
that's not what Zane Durant is. So, like, if it was
He's just-
Eberflus's defense, I'd probably like Durant a lot more, but it's not.
Yeah, he's just a one-trick pony. He's the guy that I could see the Bears being interested in him, and I just I hope to God they're not.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I think he's a 10. I want
He's
to
a
say
10.
he's
I
a
watched
9, but
I
he's a
watched like
10.
2 games, so I didn't want to do like a full thing, but he was a 10 for me. I did like some of his stuff for sure, but I still think he's a 10.
Yeah. In a different scheme, I think Brandon Cleveland might be a 9, but like he's not for this one.
Really? I thought there was a possibility that he could be on the Bears. I'd still have him as a 10, but I think there's a possibility the Bears might be interested.
Okay. Interesting differing viewpoint there. But for the sake of time, we'll keep this thing moving. And we're just going to go into offensive line in general. So this one's probably going to be a bit longer of a position group. But, I mean, I think Mao Noah and Freeling are definitely ones. Definitely ones.
Yes. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Now, for tier 2,
I'd say Ione's a 2. Just like I know they're not going to draft a guard, but I think he's just so good that he would be a 2. That's how I feel.
yeah. I feel
They're
like
not
a
gonna
3
take
just
him.
because it's reluctant. Like, because I think there's a real
Yeah.
possibility he could get to 25. So, like,
Well, and here's the
reluctant,
thing:
like,
like
you can't pass on this guy.
if he's a variable 25, he's most likely going to be the best player on the board. And in that situation, I just be like, okay, Joe Tooney, you're playing left tackle this year. I know we said
Yeah.
we're not going to do that, but we're going to do it now. Like, Ione's too good. We're going to make it work. But I'm cool with 3 if you want to have him at 3.
I think they're taking him if he's there, but like, I just, he's a 2. I think Fano's the same way. I think Fano's a 2. He's played some left tackle. You'll figure it out with him on your own line. He's just a good football player.
I think Ian Nacho is probably a 2.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think so.
I
too.
think that's where the 2s
traits are loud. Yeah,
Sure.
I think we're down to 3s at this point, which to me, Lomu's probably a 3. I'm a little reluctant about it.
Justify any of this offensive crap.
He's to me, he falls in the 25 range. I don't love it. I have my questions about him, but
I understand
skill-wise,
it's a possibility. It offends my sensibilities to no end. You have an awful unit staring you in the face, and it's like, oh, well, see this offensive tackle here, guys.
Yeah.
Not like we didn't start Theo Bennett for 9 games last year.
Yeah.
But what I always go back to, I bet you brought up Theo Bennett, is because for all these guys in my notes, pretty much all these left tackles and even right tackles, I put look at what Ben Johnson did with Theo Bennett. Imagine what he could do with this monster.
My counterpoint is look at what he did with Theo Bennett. You need to fix the other problems.
But there's plenty of ways to fix those
when
problems.
you're scoring 40 points a game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about
when you're letting up 50. There's a problem.
There's something to be said about
Danny,
making it
when you go on
even stronger.
When you go on full quarter 20 play drives at 5 yards a run a clip with Kyle Monungai running the football,
Kyle Monungai is gonna die if he gets the ball that much.
then it won't matter who's running the football because they'll have these dudes. Well, I don't know about Caleb Lomu being that dude, but like enjoy.
Yeah. You know what? Because they're gonna take at 87. They're gonna take Jonah Coleman, and that's your starting back. Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
So everyone go with Lomu at 3 here.
That's
100%.
Yeah. To be honest, I put Lomu, Proctor, and Miller at 3 for the reason that if you want them, you have to pick them at 25. All 3 of those guys. Like I don't think you could trade down and get any of those guys. Maybe Miller, but there's a lot of talk about him going top 25 now. Like,
the way people are talking about him lately, I don't see him.
Yeah.
Well, the Bears draft Miller though.
Why wouldn't they?
That's fair.
Because he's really only played right tackle.
So
yeah,
Ian Nacho's only played right tackle except
Ian
for
Nacho is a different situation, and you know that, Danny.
I'm poking the bear.
He's so new to it all that moving.
So
apparently
Blake Miller has played football his whole life and is a 4-year right tackle. I ain't sure. Played some left tackle, some right tackle in JUCO. Got to Arizona State. Has only played football for 5 years. His muscle memory is not that hard to rewire at this point, and athletically, he's just a different dude.
Yeah.
This is Q's little. This is his teddy bear. Ian Nacho is Q's teddy bear.
He is my guy of my guys this year because I would like a month ago I was like, the Bears should just take Ian Ancho. Like, why not? And then like it started to blow up since then, and I'm like, this is my thing. Like, but I mean, I to me, Miller's a 4 just because like I don't know, even if you trade, I like Miller. I have a higher grade on Miller than Proctor from a if you take positional value out of this. He's higher than Lomu for me as well if you take positional value out of it. But the fact that he's a right guy almost exclusively makes me like, will they even take him if they trade back?
Yeah, I mean it's a good point, but yeah, I think at this point it's like, okay, but maybe they don't want him, but if they do want him, you got to pick him at 25. That's why I had him at 3. But if you want to put him at 4, I wouldn't put him at 5. Like I think he'd be above
I think 4. I think 4 just because, and I mean I think Proctor should be a 4 too.
Proctor just because of his physical traits, man, has to be a 3. He's not getting out of the first round.
I know you're right, but I hate it.
Right.
Sounds like my wife.
Think about Proctor. I'm going to just say one thing about Proctor because I still have hopes that he can be something, and maybe I shouldn't, but I'm a sucker for oversized offensive tackles. Is he got better every single year? There's still a long way to go, but he's a redshirt. He's a true junior. He's 20 years old, and he's got elite movement skills for his size. If he can keep his weight in check, he could be really good. That's a big if, but I think there's still something there.
Maybe they'll put him through a wide receiver conditioning test and all will be well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, on to Pregnon, Pregnon's not good enough for me to justify taking a guard very high. Like to me, he's a 7. Like I'm not even interested. It's nothing against the player. I'm just not interested in him. Like it doesn't make sense to me to draft him until the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that.
That's fair.
Okay, that's fine.
If
it's a guard, so I don't think it's going to
enter at all. So. I would argue higher, but like he doesn't, and I don't think unless you're an elite talent at guard, I don't think it makes sense for the Bears right now. So I'm the same place with Basantis at a 7.
That's fair. I think that the logic is fair. 5.
5. Okay, I was gonna say 6, but like
I was gonna say 6 too. For this reason, I think about just centers in general go later than they usually do. I mean, Creed Humphrey was like the 62nd overall pick.
The right.
He was a much better prospect than Sam.
But the reason I'll push back is because we know this specific head coach, if we're going to do the head coach thing, value center more than almost any other coach in this league, seemingly.
That's fair. I'd be convinced about 5, but I think I would still put him at 6.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot, and I like him in the role and with who they had last year. It makes a ton of sense. But I don't know. I don't see him pulling the trigger.
Let's go 5. I'm okay with 5.
Okay,
and
I could argue too much.
I want Rutledge in a 5 too, just because I think
I was going to say Rutledge is actually my favorite option for center because I think that guy's just a badass.
Yeah, I love Rutledge. I don't know if he can actually play center or not. I know the Bears tested him out in it.
You got to figure out if he can or not.
Yeah, like I want him in a 5 here because I would love to have Rutledge on this football team.
That's fine.
Well, even if you take him to be a guard and you've got a little bit of time with who you have at guard, he can be. I don't mind taking somebody a little bit higher if the long term is there. You know, if you're like he's going to be a guard, a high level one for 10 years, I don't mind that.
Yeah. Now with Jude Bowery, it's probably a 7 to me, maybe a 6. I could get behind a 6, but like. I know we're outside consensus on that as well. So
with Bowery, I think he's so athletically gifted. He's going to go higher than where he is on the consensus right now. Just because offensive tackles who are athletic are going to go high.
And he has the arm length. He has the athleticism. It's a 6. If you have all the traits, you're a 6 in offensive tackle because these guys don't get out of the 2nd round.
Yeah, that's fair. I really love Austin Barber. I know he's got some issues with his tape, like for sure, like some issues. I think he might even be a guard, but his tape is fun to watch. I'd put him at 7, but I could understand if we want to go lower.
I was going to argue 6 because he has the athleticism and he has the arm length.
Great.
And he has the mass. He has the width. Like I just think if you're an offensive tackle who has the arm length, the wingspan, like the width, body wise, and the athleticism, you're not getting out of the second round. We've seen it time and time again. Guys get drafted over consensus because they have all those things, even if they can't play football.
Great. I thought I was going to be the high man on him, so I'm very much happy to put him in 6. He's also just a means of a bitch too, which I love.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're outside consensus on Trey Zune. I think we're talking a 7 with Trey Zune.
That's where I'd be.
Yeah, because he's played center. Like he's a left tackle right now, but he has played center, and he's not going to play left tackle.
I feel like your
outside
next handful are all 7s. Just looking at
honestly, yeah, Trey Zune, I would put it 7 because like here's the thing about Trey Zune. I think there's a world where he plays left tackle in this league, and you could play him at left tackle year 1, and then
I don't understand why is no one on him. I don't understand.
Everyone just has all the arm length, but he's got 32.5-inch arms. It's not like
and his feet are great. And his hands are great.
His hands are great.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. But like I would play him at left tackle, but I do think like he could be a really good center too. So I think it's more that like people just project him inside. But like
I think
the Bears might have a need at left tackle, and then he could also be your center of the future. Or you can keep him at left tackle if he plays really well. So
but like I think he can back up all 5 positions. All right,
I'm going to go 7 on Farmer, too. I know the guard's not a huge need for them, but I really like Jalen Farmer. I think he's fantastic.
So. I think
at a certain point in the draft, like the Bears could easily draft a guard at 87. I mean, Tooney's getting up there in age. Jonah Jackson's been injured. Like, it's outside the top 75. Like, you don't have to go for need anymore. If Jalen Farmer's the best available player, take him.
Now, I differ on this one some. Logan Jones is a 9 to me. Maybe a 10. I'm leaning.
He'd be a 7 for me. I really like. I mean, I'm obviously higher on him than you. I'd have him
at a 7 as well.
I just think he's really athletic. I was going to say
just because the Ben logic, he's 7 to me.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea if this guy can pass block. I have no idea, but he's good enough run blocker or
pass block. He doesn't do it. They ask him to do it in Iowa.
I could be convinced about it.
Can I go with an 8? Can you guys?
Yeah, it's fine. I can be convinced of that.
I don't care.
Okay. 8.
This is not a player I'm willing to fight that hard about.
Okay. Now
I'm willing to go to
Daddy. I was. Now, for me, the rest of these guys, Lou might be a 9. Slaughter to me is an 8. But the rest of them are 10s to me for the most part.
Lock it in.
Yeah. The thing with all these tackles, like I think if the Bears don't take a tackle at 25, I don't think they take a tackle until like later on. Yeah. Because like what are you going to do? Draft Caleb Tiernan, who's probably just as the same, is basically Ozzie Trapillo 2.0. Like there's no point in doing
arms.
That. Yeah. So like
I really struggle with Tiernan, but
you either go for like the obvious upgrade or you just stick with the status quo. There's no reason to draft him on day 2.
Okay. See, O-line was painless, guys. Okay, now we're on to Danny's spot.
Oh God,
we're into the running backs.
1.
Yep, Jeremiah Love is a 1. That's easy.
2 for Jadarian Price.
2.
Okay.
Really?
Really?
I mean, I like the player. I just think it's
not 2. No, not 2. 4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
4. Not 2. I meant like in the second. 2 was as in second
round. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
4. For me, it's 4.
I'm gonna upset people. I wouldn't take him until the 3rd round. So I guess if he's staring you in the face at 87 and you love him, fine. But I would tell you Mike Washington is an 8.
I like Washington a lot. I think he's a step below 4. I think I'd be a 5 for me probably, but I don't know because I don't really like the idea of picking a running back at 57 or 60, so maybe a 6.
I think 6 is I just didn't like him as like the guy coming up just after him is where I would put that number. I really liked Jonah Coleman.
For me, I put Mike at a 5.
5, okay.
I really want to fight this.
I love what he does. I
think
the
dumb.
ceiling is astronomical.
I thought he had some pretty good vision too. I mean, not like he's not the greatest vision I've ever seen.
he hugs his blocks well and he comes off of them. I agree with
Yeah.
that. I think he just does dumb stuff, and I don't know that you can coach dumb out of a player. Like,
who was the running back from K-State a year or two ago? Giddens, DJ Giddens. I saw some DJ Giddens moments in his tape that had me like, what are you doing, man?
I think some of that with how hard this staff coaches every minute detail of offense. That's where I see it, but
I'll meet you in the middle and I'll say 7. I can't do a 6.
Well, let's say this. Imagine a Ben Johnson run scheme with Mike Washington, though, with a 6'2", 230-pound freight train. Just
so he can run out of
bounds. Touchdowns were left on the field because they just didn't have enough of a gear.
I also will openly admit, as much as I am the Planet Theory guy, running backs for me, I value guys that just churn yards. If you get 4 and 5 yards every time you get the ball, I'm going to be drawn to you because it's efficiency. And that's why I liked Jonah when he was healthy at Washington, because he just gets he's consistent, he's reliable, and I value that. So
the other thing to your point, the other thing about Mike Washington is he's got a lot of fumbles on tape.
He's got a lot of fumbles, and I worry and it's 1 year. He only did this once. Like,
I'm fine with putting him lower. What did you have him, Danny? What did you want him?
I could argue him 8, that I wouldn't even touch him until the 3rd round.
I think a 6 is a fair compromise because you guys came in at 4 initially. Danny saying 8, and I think 6, just like meeting in the middle there.
Yeah, 6
makes
is fair.
a lot of sense.
I also love Jonah Coleman, so if you want to put him at 5, I'd be fine with that.
Let's do. I am
fine
with Jonah.
I'd put him in the 6 or 7. I'm not as high on him.
His tape like 2 years ago was really, really good. Last year was good too. He was injured this year, so I don't know how much stock we could put into this year's tape. But the last couple of years was really good.
Yeah, I'm okay with if you want to put him, if you want to just match him with Washington for different reasons. He's not quite the athlete. I'm fine with that, because I also truly don't. If you're talking about just like how I personally value these things, outside after you get past Price, I don't have a round grade on these guys higher than the 3rd round.
Right.
So it's
I think with like I have a hard time seeing the Bears going with a running back unless they've traded back to acquire more picks, which is more the 6 range than the 5 range anyways.
God, and now you're gonna get to just like, honestly, once you get to like Claiborne is like 9. Yeah. Same with Randall. But I love Randall, dude. That guy's going to be – I think some team's going to get him and be very, very happy they got Adam Randall on their team. And then just –
that's how I feel about McGowan. I don't know what it is about him. I just –
didn't he go to jail?
Did he? I have no idea.
He did.
I think Seth McGowan was in prison.
Something with like robbery, like players robbing houses or something.
Well,
when he was a freshman and then he got out and went back to college football.
Yeah.
He served his time.
He did. He's a reformed individual.
Made dumb mistakes at 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not all of us go to jail for him, but you know.
Well, so do we think 10's down the rest of the way?
I think it's 10's the rest of the way. The only one I think you could argue if you wanted to is Singleton. Singleton's tape offends me to no end.
Can we give my boy Noah a 9?
No.
But I love Noah Whittington. I think
Noah Whittington's awesome, Q, but no.
Okay. I have to ask because I love it. Had to ask. Okay. Now let's move this on over to
wide receiver.
Safety.
We didn't do safety?
Oh. Not yet.
No, we did corners. It feels like we're doing safeties because I feel like 7 of these safeties played corner.
Yeah. So Downs is a 1, right?
Yeah.
Downs is a 1. Yeah.
100%.
Tiananmen a 2?
I would say 2.
1, but I 2 is fine.
I'd say 2.
Okay. I'm intrigued by the 1 conversation though, but I will go with 2.
Traits, I could see 1. You know, like the things he did this last year. And if you look at like what he was asked to do at Purdue and then what he was asked to do at Oregon, I think there's a lot like when you watch to be like, oh, he can do more. He just wasn't always asked to do certain things and not for lack of ability, just for what they were doing.
All right,
Couldn't have
now
said it better myself. I agree.
EMW. I could see this being a 2, a 3, or a 4. So, what are your thoughts?
I would.
I think it's a 3. I think if he's there, you could take him, and I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I think with where people are thinking he'll go, 3 makes a ton of sense.
I would personally
you
put
could
him at.
convince me of 4.
I was gonna say I would personally put him 4, but I understand 3 because you're betting on traits. I thought for a guy at playing mid-major football that he disappeared too much at times for my taste. Again, it's the same thing. You can't be at that level of football, be talked about as this level of prospect, and then just not feel like your impact is being felt. That's not a lot.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that. And the thing about him, I don't think he's very versatile.
No,
safety. I think he's very.
No.
You gotta. There's a specific role you kind of need him in. I don't know if that's necessary what the Bears want, so I'm cool with 4.
Yeah, and I want to mention something because like too often I see, oh, the Bears, because of Kobe, they're gonna want just a pure box safety, and I have never understood that. I think DA
that's someone who's never watched DA's defense seriously.
Yeah, like he doesn't want just a box line. If he could have another Kobe back there, he probably would.
He wants to let both guys be able to do it.
He wants ultimate versatility to just make life hell.
So you have no, like, one of the things last year before the Bears played any games, I went back and watched some of his Saints tape and like charted it for like coverages and stuff. And it was just like the way this dude was getting to Tampa 2 sometimes was fucking insane. Where like he had both safeties coming down and taking like linebacker zones, while the nickel is playing deep middle and the 2 corners are playing deep, and it's just like, this is not Tampa 2, but he got to Tampa 2. Like what the is inverted as fuck. Like,
he may not have the success that like Flores does, but like when people talk about how well Flores disguises things, it's like, just go watch prime Dennis Allen calling up things.
Well,
it's
why he doesn't like Tyreek, because he wants his corners to be able to take on a safety responsibility zone. That's my theory, at least.
Oh, 100%. I agree. I think also, he wants moldability across the board.
He does, and everyone lazily falls into the for EMW he's just like the Seahawk that got drafted last year.
Nick Emenwari.
Nick Emenwari. Like, he's not Nick Emenwari.
Yeah, no.
Nick Emenwari
was also, everyone said Nick Emenwari isn't Kyle Hamilton. Are you really expecting to hit that twice in a row? You know,
yeah. I don't think you could play EMW in the slot. Like, I would not play him there.
No,
I don't think he can. I don't think he can man up good enough.
Yeah, no chance.
Absolutely not. Against really good tight ends, he's going to be exposed.
Yeah, so I think 4 makes sense because I think he is still a talented player. He just doesn't really fit what the Bears want. Yeah. So I think 4 makes sense.
All right, so Tredan Stukes, the AARP member, he's got to be a 5, right? You can't trade up for this guy.
No, 5. I love Stukes though, man.
I love Stukes.
Great on him.
I wouldn't.
You can't trade up for a 25-year-old.
No, I wouldn't trade up for him. But if you trade it down from 25 and you were picking at 35, 40, like, I wouldn't hate that. But if we want to put him at 5, that's fine.
Yeah,
Seth, as the expert, what's your?
I feel like, yes, he's got traits, and there are like some deep field moments, but it's not as simple to just plug in at safety and have all of the things that you have to do, all of the little nuanced things of basically being the signal caller on the back end. I think you have to, especially if you're taking him in the 30s or whatever it may be, like, you have to be 1,000% certain he can make that transition, because if it takes him a year, maybe a year and a half to like get to that point, he's on the back half of his career at that point. And if it takes 2 years, then you're talking about somebody who's 27 going on 28, hoping that, you're going to get 2 more good years out of him. So that's where I sit with it. But if you think he can hit, he's got the traits to be really fun. There's that little thing in the back of my head that says, you better be 1,000% sure and not trying to be smartest, like, you don't want another he's really fast and can do X, Y, and Z, and take somebody way higher. Like, oh God, who was the linebacker we took in the 4th round trying to play smart?
Hippolyte.
Yeah.
Ruben Hoopalite?
Yeah, like I don't want a situation like that where you're trying to be overly smart with something. So that's just where I sit with it in terms
I
of
think I'm sold
projecting
on
the
the 5.
transition.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm sold on the 5
Cool thing.
there.
That's good.
All right. And now Halsey, Wheatley, Payne. Where do we see these 3 guys?
I think Halsey's a 5 too, right?
I would put Halsey and Wheatley in 5. I'm higher on Wheatley than a lot of people are.
I mean, you're the expert here on Wheatley, so like if you say 5, I'm willing to take your word for it.
I think the things he does well are things that Dennis Allen, when he's watching the way in which he can blitz and fill in with the run and also drop back. I mean, he tested horribly, but he doesn't play 4-6 or 4-7, whatever he ran. I like what he can do. You can throw him in the nickel at times. You can throw him back. You can have him blitz. I like what he does. And when he does hit people, he hits hard.
Okay. Now with like Payne, Kilgore, Ramsey, where are you sitting?
That's tougher. My heart says like 7, because I don't necessarily know that I would take them before that. Just
I
because
really
of
like
the
Kilgore.
deficiencies. But with the traits of Kilgore and Kamari, if you want to talk yourself in, like say you trade down to, like low 80s or high 70s, you could talk yourself into it.
Because Danny said he really likes Kilgore, I'm willing to go up to 6 there.
The traits are there.
I really like Kilgore, yeah. Again, I like traits though, in general.
I
I
tend
was
to
a little
go traits
higher on
more
him, too.
for corners than safeties for me. But
Okay.
in this type of thing where they want versatility, traits do matter a little bit more.
Now, everyone's favorite nickel / linebacker, and definitely not safety, Keontae Scott. Where does he belong in this tier?
I just don't know where he belongs, period.
To be honest, we talked about Kyle Lewis earlier. Kyle Lewis is a better coverage player than Keontae Scott, and Keontae Scott might be a better, more physical player than Kyle Lewis. So I don't.
Keontae Scott's a better linebacker, and Kyle Lewis is a better nickel.
Keontae Scott doesn't understand he's a midget.
He doesn't. Don't tell him that to his face, Daddy. He'll run right through you.
Oh well, yeah, he'll whip my ass. I don't care. I like Keontae. I don't think
in certain packages he makes a lot of sense, but are you taking somebody?
My man is here for a good time, not
in
a
the
long
top
time.
100 for certain packages.
Yeah, and he's 25 as well.
Does that make him a 7, or can we think about him as a 6?
I'd be borderline 8 just because of age and what you're expecting of him and picking him in the,
he got benched at Auburn and then transferred to Miami. Like they straight up benched him. Like, I think he's an 8.
The benching part sells me
Yeah.
on 8. I'm the highest on him here, and I'm probably the least confident in my grade on him. So, like, yeah, that's fine. All right, now, what was that?
No, I feel like of the remaining guys, like I don't like a lot of these, but I like Bud.
Me,
like this is like all 10s here.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Are the rest 10s? Like I think to me, Bishop Fitzgerald, I might put in a 9. But
can I just delete Genesis Smith totally off our board because I'm offended that he's even here.
And the thing is like each of these guys at this point have a glaring thing. The only guy that I would be like kind of interested in was Ahmad Moses, but that back injury, I don't know if he can play anymore. But when I watch the tape, there's a lot to like, but is he ever going to play at a high level? I just like, if you can tell me that a back fusion surgery works out, like ever, yeah. If he didn't have that, he'd be higher for me. I actually forgot that he had the injury, and when I was rewatching some things, I'm like, why do I have him ranked so low? Oh yeah, at the combine, they were like, yeah, he needs to have a fusion surgery. So I don't even know if he's going to play this year.
And Seth, you're pretty low on Bishop Fitzgerald too, because that was the only other guy who I was interested in. But
I just don't love him.
okay,
Like at that point with these safeties that you're talking about late round guys and what can they bring you on special teams and what can they bring you and fill in spots, and I just don't see it with a lot of
Can
them.
Bishop at least tackle?
questionable.
Sometimes he ate his Wheaties that day.
Better than Genesis Smith.
True, but that's about as low of a bar as it
Step
can
over
be.
the bar, Steve.
Which it's wild with the ride I went through with Genesis Smith, because the 2 games I watched, he really didn't have many tackling issues. And then I watched the third one, and it was like, oh, this guy's hips don't turn.
You found the 2 games he tackled.
I found the 2 games where apparently no one could shake him. And then it's like, but all it takes to shake him is like 1 step. And it's like, oh, he's flying by you now because this guy can't turn for his life.
No, 4 different times in my I made it through like 1.5 games. 4 different times I wrote, "Can he tackle?" ? And that was enough for me to just not watch anymore.
Allergic contact.
Okay. Then I think we got 2 spots left. Tight end is going to be real quick because I think we only got 2 names here. Is Kenyon Sadiq even a 4 or 3?
No.
In terms of like what we think about him, or because of what the Bears have? Because with what the Bears have, they have no reason to take a tight end.
So is that a 7?
I think you'd have to have him at 5. Like if he was somehow available at 57.
If he somehow got to 50,
I think Ben Johnson would be like, "We're taking him. I'll figure it out."
Yeah,
figure out the problem later.
Now, how about Oscar Delp?
I love Oscar Delp. I think he'd maybe be a 7, but just because, again, if he's there, he's really good.
sold.
He can block, he can run. So yeah,
I
don't think we have
put
so
him
much more
there.
time on it.
Clearly, we spent a lot of time on tight ends this year, guys. So
The most just well done position on our end.
yeah. All right, now wide receiver here, and this was neither one of the main scouts for these guys are on here, so we're probably gonna be pretty chalk, except for a handful of guys who we have stronger opinions on. But Carnell, I mean, I'm just gonna assume Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson are ones. Like, I don't expect the Bears to care about them, but like,
I think Mackay
they'll
is
be gone.
Probably, all things considered, I don't think he's gonna sniff being at 25. I think if you want him, you're gonna trade up to go get him.
Okay. Now, Casey's interesting because in talking with Tom, he was like, I think this might be the best player available at 25 if he's there. Yeah. But like, I don't know if you can justify it, but like, he might be the best football player on the board.
That would be Ben Johnson, sicko mode. F everything. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna run a bunch of 12 personnel with 3 wide receivers.
Yeah. Like Casey's awesome. Casey's an awesome football player. It's just I can't justify it. Yeah. Like, there's no good way to do it.
So does that make it a 5? A 6?
I could be talking.
I think we could have him in tier 3 and just. But he's going to be a lower on tier 3, right? Because he's good enough to warrant.
I think that's
in a vacuum. Fair. He's good enough
with
to warrant
with
the 25th
this grade. He's going to be pretty high in our tier 3.
Okay, so maybe 4 then.
4. Yeah. 4.
So
he's going to be the top of our tier 4, but there's going to be no way by the time we're talking tier 4.
These next
on the
2
board.
I really like. I'm unreasonably happy about watching Denzel Boston play football. I just like him.
I really like Omar Cooper Jr. as well.
So do we think they belong 4 as well, or is that like 5 range? Like to me, these guys should probably be 1 tier below where we expect them to be drafted.
Yeah, if 4 is the reasonable one, 5 is probably the one that makes most sense for these 2, in my opinion, because I don't think either of them are going to be that late in the second.
Okay.
Give me Chris for Ben Johnson. I don't care that he can't do a ton of things. Let him fly.
Is he Robert Brazel's kid?
I don't know. All I know is big guy run fast.
And like,
big guy
if we're talking like, if the Bears do draft a wide receiver, I think it's going to be someone who does
like that.
Brazel does.
Like that. Yep.
Like that's so I think he's 5. for sure.
But
Who we
I'm
think he
like
should-
you might as well call me Al Davis when it comes to wide receivers. Give me 6'5", 4'3", and can catch. Well, he didn't really care about the catching part.
So Jeremy Bernard, he is so redundant to Luther Burden in my
Agreed,
understanding,
100%.
right? Like that's got to be like
100%.
7.
Yeah, I mean, like
yeah,
if the Bears didn't have Luther Burden, I think Ben Johnson would take him at 25 because like he fits to what they do so well, but it would just be redundant. It'd be like you traded away DJ Moore, it'd be like drafting him again and then having the same issues you had last year.
yeah.
Now, I mean, I think like Surratt and Thompson, Bell, like to me, Bell is probably a 9. Because I do think that he fits, but I think there's a lot of questions about him film wise, like what his effort is here. Like I think the way I said it to Tom after watching him, I was like, he's got toxic alpha energy big time. Like I could see him being like a toxic alpha wide receiver who's just like wildly off the map at times, but also really good at football at times. But so, I mean, do we think Surratt? Okay, so I'm just going to go pretty much chalk with these then. So we're talking, I think that's just keep 7 here.
Part of me really wants Zachariah Branch to be a Bear just for the sicko crap behind it. But again, when is it even justifiable? Like,
yeah, I mean, I to me, he's probably a 9.
9. Yeah.
Just like if he gets there, it's priority to get him, but like I really have a hard time justifying because I agree. Zachariah Branch and Ben Johnson's offense sounds like a lot of fun.
A ton of fun. So much fun.
But I don't know how you justify it before day 3. Malachi Fields, I've watched nothing on, so
he can fly.
Yeah.
So like
okay.
that, but he's smaller.
We'll just call him a 10. Like I don't. I think the rest of these are 10s.
And
the only guys Bryce Lance is I might put in like a 9 just because the athletic traits are different.
So
he is playing a small school, obviously, but
the Bryce Lance narrative is weird though. I feel like he's a 4th or 5th round pick, and they're talking he's going into round 2 now. All of a sudden, like
I mean, you're 6'5" and you ran a 4.3. You're going to go higher than what you.
I don't think he runs that well.
6'5" and ran a 4.3. That's Ted Hurst music, buddy.
That's Caleb Douglas's music. I'm surprised you're not playing the drum for him.
I was
actually
I was
good.
shocked how fast he ran. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I thought his
he
teammate
won vertically.
I thought his teammate I can't even think of his name off the top of my head.
Virgil.
Yeah.
Reggie Virgil,
I thought Reggie Virgil was going to be way faster than Caleb Douglas just based on like watching Tech games. And so like that kind of weirded me out that Caleb was that fast.
Yeah.
Which maybe it was Caleb just pulling all the attention, but
I think it's just when you're that tall, it's like you don't look as fast because he's just a long strider.
Well, that's what's going on with Ted Hurst. But God, I watched the first game of Ted Hurst and I was like, this dude sucks at football. Like this guy has no idea what he's doing. And then I watched the second game and I see him just like busting away from 3 guys around him to haul in a ball like 50 yards downfield. I was like, okay, I'm sold on that. I don't know if he can play football, but he can do that. And that's fun. I'm not trying to sell Ted Hurst as a 9 or anything. I had to mention that because it blew my mind. I had to watch it play like 10 times in a row to fully comprehend it.
Yeah.
And then he went back to not being good at football again.
Hey,
then he went back to being
one
bad.
or 2 of those a game for the season. I'd be happy.
All right. So let's see. I think the best way for me to do this is like this.
They should draft that NA guy.
Yeah, there's something in the so that happens when 2 individuals have the exact same grade, which is wild to do considering that these decimals are like
that's crazy
all over the
Wait,
place.
Two people had the exact same grade on a player.
Yeah, or no, 2 players have the exact same combined grade.
Oh, ew.
Which is wild
That's
when you
crazy.
think about like this grade is 8.040555555.6 like 6 like it's for but 2 guys have the exact same grade. So if we break these into our tiers, it's the wrong way. Okay, so this is how our final big board is breaking out. We don't need these columns.
Honestly, just looking at it, I think we nailed it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
This is exactly how the draft is going to go.
Hire us. Make us in charge. What could possibly go wrong?
So,
Hey, if some people can be former scouts, we can.
Oh, for the love of
right.
God.
so
Don't
these
we
are our
have to-
trade up candidates who we're not saying the Bears should trade up for these guys. We're saying if they want these guys, you got to trade up for them. and they might fit
Okay.
somehow. It's kind of a weird tier, honestly, especially when you're at 25. But for the most part, it's just guys who won't be there. This is our priority guys at 25.
All right, fellas. I actually have to jet. I gotta walk the dog and get ready for bed. All right.
All right, yeah.
That's
All
it.
right, see you, fellas.
And you guys will only be another 10 minutes, maybe tops.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just going through these tiers. So these are the guys we run the card in at pick 25. These are who we're really hoping we get a chance at pick 25. Then
those names, that checks out with all those guys.
Yeah. Tier 3 here. These are our guys who we accept at pick 25. We're like, okay, we're good with these guys. We're not thrilled, but it's an acceptable pick.
So we have 27 guys who we'd either, in tiers 1, 2, and 3, and we have the 25th pick. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, well, actually,
that
so
just goes
26 because the top
26.
row is
Oh,
just
right, sure. So
titles.
26 guys, but that just, that doesn't surprise me in this draft class. There's no one there's not a lot of guys I'm really excited about at 25.
Yeah,
No.
26 guys we're interested in. Yeah, that's a tight window.
Yeah.
Hey,
All right,
so we got a pretty good chance of getting one of them.
Yeah, if somehow all 26 of those guys are gone at pick 25, our option is to trade down and target one of these guys, or we can trade up from 57 to target one of these guys. So we got Casey Conception, Jacob Rodriguez, EMW, CJ Allen, Jadarian Price, Avion Terrell, Caden McDonald, Gabe Akis, Blake Miller, and TJ Parker. Those are our beyond 25 but before 57 candidates there. Then at pick 57 and 60, we just put this into one tier. We have 3 wide receivers at the top. They won't be there like that. That's just where we think the Bears' appetite for those guys might start. And then Caleb Banks. So we start with 4 guys who we probably shouldn't expect to be there, but that's where we think the Bears' appetite will be. Then we get to Jake Golday, Trey Dan Stukes, Lee Hunter, AJ Halsey, Kenyon Sadiq won't be there. Zion Young, who will he be there? I don't know where Zion.
Didn't he just get in some sort of law issue?
Stuff was released, I think, more, or stuff was started to be discussed more about his previous.
It was
stuff.
Yeah, in the Beast, Dave Ruger said something with I can't remember what it was, so I'm not gonna say because I don't remember, but there was something there.
He's been arrested twice. There's a DUI, and then there's an assault charge from the tunnel of an Alabama football game against Alabama where he fought a guy.
Yeah,
something like that.
Then we got Josiah Trotter in there, Zakee Wheatley, Sam Heck, Kalen Rutledge, Brandon Cisse, and Grayson Halton. So these are our guys in the second round with where the Bears are currently sitting, picks 57 and 60. And we're at 52 players for picks 57 and 60. Yeah, that's not
it's that type of draft class.
Yeah.
Right. For so many people saying the depth of this class.
Yeah.
Even it's not.
We're at 52
deep, it's
players.
Just a lot of names.
We're at 52 players we're comfortable within this class. We're only at maybe 45 that we even have a second round grade on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because a bunch of these guys we have true third round grades on.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's more trying to stopgap needs than we truly believe this player is worthy of this pick.
Yeah, I have a boatload of third and fourth round grades on people and 7 first round grades.
All right, so tier 6, this is the trade up or down between picks 61 and 86. We're talking Mike Washington Jr., Anthony Hill Jr., Chris Johnson, Jonah Coleman, Derek Moore, Jude Bowery, Austin Barber, and Jalen Kilgore. So this is a pretty small group too.
Yeah.
we're talking up to 60 players now who through pick 86 we feel good about. It's tight. Last year we had more. Last year we had more than like we had more guys than picks to this amount.
It seems like it. Yeah.
So now for tier 7, which is up to pick 87, we're up to 77 players here, so we're getting back in the right direction. This is where the meat of the draft starts to come in more. We got like Jeremy Bernard, Emmanuel Pregnon, Elijah Surratt, Cassius Howell, a lot of guys who won't be there. Then like Oscar Delp, Kyle Lewis, Jay Sean Barham, Basantis, R. Mason Thomas, Trey Zune, Dalen Everett, VJ Payne, Jalen Farmer, Kayron Crawford, Kamari Ramsey, Keith Abney, and Rayshawn Benny. So like this is that third round pick 87 where the Bears are range. I think this feels good. Like I feel right about this, but again, only 77 guys at pick 87 that were like, yeah, that fits. And then tier 8, we only got a handful of guys here. And tier 8 is trading down from pick 87. So really, we can just look at tier 8, 8, 9, 8, and 9 together because that's kind of it's generally priority day 3 guys. Which, you know, if you guys are listening, I'm sorry, I'm not going to read all these names, but if you make sure to check out the video, if you're on Spotify or YouTube, you can see it. And we will release an article with this as well. But we have a good chunk of names here, up to 102 players through our priority day 3 grade. So like we're barely at 100 guys once we're hitting our priority day 3. It's all the talk about a weak draft class. I think that's showing through in our rankings here.
For sure.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts you want to throw out there before we close this thing out?
Get ready for Caleb Lamu at 25.
It's starting to feel that way, man. Because I don't think Iannachore's getting there. I think he's going to be gone.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he'll be there.
Part of that plays into it.
Yeah.
But I've been
I don't know.
For like a month.
I would say I think offensive tackle is very, very much in play, like strongly in play. So if you're not on that train, maybe you should start prepping for it.
Yeah, I agree. But gentlemen, and to Danny, who had to take off a couple minutes ago, thank you guys so much for spending 2 hours of your Sunday evening going through this. It means a ton to me. It means a ton to our listeners, our viewers out there. And you guys make sure you're going and following these guys at Seth D. Conklin, at CFC Bears on Twitter, and at Dan Meehan 90, I believe it is. Great follows, great draft content. And gentlemen, why don't we close this thing out with a good old bear down and we'll get out of here.
Bear down.
Bear down.
Bear down.